Celebrate the iconic Crucible Theatre, a glorious arena of champions. Remember the passion and dedication of the Titans of the Green Bays.
Is he taking the double? He is!
The whispered commentary.
Everything's starting to flow now. Making hay while the sun shines.
The late-night battles.
This is really unbelievable.
The tears and laughter of the game's greatest players.
The young man crying with joy.
I don't believe this.
5 minutes for one unbelievable maximum break.
The drama and the passion as the best in the world come head-to-head. For 17 days, they all battle for that iconic title. Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.
All roads lead to the Crucible. That is the view right now here at the English Institute of Sport, just on the outskirts of Sheffield. This is Judgement Day Eve. Welcome to what promises to be a fantastic night of live snooker. We are edging towards finding out the lineup for the top 32 for the draw, which will be 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. I'm joined by the former world number 3, Neil Foulds. And Neil, we very much enjoyed the first instalment that started at 11, finished around 3 o'clock. There's a real buzz around this place, isn't there? We've moved from the Ponds Forge to here. This is a great hub of sporting excellence, and it's right that snooker's here on a crucial 2 days.
Yeah, and it's the last hurdle for these players. Everyone's playing 3 matches these days, as opposed to it used to be the 17 to 32 played the 1 match to qualify. Everyone's in the same boat. They've all won 2 matches, and they all don't want today to go wrong. Tomorrow's the day when the dreams can come true and they can get back at the Crucible. But for now, you just don't want to get behind in matches, and we've seen a bit of that today already. And it's just a question of kind of standing your ground and hopefully getting into a good position to sort of kill your opponent off tomorrow.
Well, if you're just getting in from work, we had two kind of patterns with the matches. We had a whole load on 5-4 and plenty of others, including Rob Milkins against Michael Holt on 7-2. So there are a couple of guys tonight going to bed thinking, I'm almost there.
Yes, I actually saw Rob Milkins briefly, said well played, and he looked well pleased. He knows he hasn't won, he knows he's not back at the Crucible, but he's a good way to doing so. A great day's work for him. And Chris Wakelin, you know, he's never played there before, and he was 8-1 up on Tian Peng Fei, so he really has had a tremendous day, and he must be thinking about being in that draw because he's almost there, isn't he?
He is. So most of those matches finished between 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we are just about underway. The first balls are being struck. Here's a quick reminder of all the scores from this afternoon and a confirmation of who's coming up later on today. So Stuart Carrington, well, he had a 4-frame advantage against Zhang Anda, who pulled it back to 4-all. Stuart took the last of the session. Mike Dunn leads Graham Dott by just a single frame. Milkins just 3 away against Michael Holt, who did well to win the last 2 of that session. He trailed 7-0. Matthew Stevens in a very commanding position against Ken Doherty, the 2 old boys rolling back the years. Ricky Walden leading Andrew Higginson by just 1. Joe Perry's had a very dominant first session against Mark Davis. Chris Wakelin 2 away from what would be a Crucible debut. Neither he or Chan Peng Fei have been there before. And Tepchaya Unnu against Alfie Burden, just 1 frame, and that one looks like it could go all the way. The right-hand side of the board are the matches that have just started 5 minutes ago. Ryan Day and Peter Ebdon, a really intriguing one. Daniel Wells and Liam Highfields, another all-potential debutante battle. So we're guaranteed at least 2 debutantes in the World Championship draw on Thursday. Adam Duffy, ranked 99th in the world, bidding to become the first man from Sheffield to make it to the Crucible. What a story that would be, but he's got to beat Xiao Guo Dong. Rory McLeod, the Highlander, who was unfancied last year, but remember, knocked out Judd Trump 10-8 in the first round. He takes on Liu Hao Chan. Liang Waynebow against Jamie Jones. They've both been at the quarterfinals before. Interestingly enough, they're both quarterfinalists on their debut. Jumping Jack Lisowski is in sensational form. Smashed poor old David Grace yesterday. Alan McManus was here till after midnight, coming through a 10-9 cracker against Oliver Lines. Jimmy Robertson against Michael White. And Hossam Vafai bidding to become the first Iranian to appear at the Crucible up against Stephen Mcguire. Well, we're going to be rock and rolling between all the different tables and all the different matches, bringing you up to speed. If anyone's on a big break, if there's a big runaway lead, we'll be across that as the evening unfolds. Don't forget, get in touch with us on Twitter. Put the hashtag Judgement Day or hashtag I Love Snooker. And if you're managing to find us on one platform, but you've got to switch to another, you can find dedicated, uninterrupted, non-commentary coverage of tables 1 and 2. That's Hossein Vafai against Stephen Mcguire or Jack Lisowski against Alan McManus on the Eurosport Player. And apparently we have another dedicated feed just covering our coverage of Judgement Day, or Judgement Day Eve as we're calling this. We're on all the World Snooker social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're in the Betfred bookshops, bookmakers, and we're all over the Facebook page of Betfred as well. It's a very, very intriguing night of snooker. We will try and stay across all the stories. These guys are vying for the right to be in the draw for 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. We are beginning our coverage with Hossein Vafai against Stephen Mcguire on table 1. Neil Foulds had moved all of 12 yards. I hope he hasn't pulled a hamstring, and I'll be in there shortly. Stay with us. A lot of drama to unfold over the next 3 to 4 hours.
Lovely stuff, Rob, thank you. And we joined this match at the very early stages. He saw tremendous long red actually from Mcguire here. I think he got a kick on it, but anyway, it's gone in. And of course he'll be looking to get back to the Crucible, the regular at that venue, former semi-finalist. Hossein Vafai got to within one match of getting there last year and becoming the 18th different nation to be represented at the Crucible, Iranian player. And he's an extremely tough competitor, actually, who came through a good match yesterday, having trailed 3-0 early on to win in good style.
I've seen it, thank you.
And there he is, Hossein Vafai. I mean, there are so many good matches. We're going to start off by looking at some of this and getting a feel for it, but we'll be going around to all tables at some point this evening when excitement builds. The matches really are good. And obviously the interesting other matches include, without a doubt, former world champion Peter Ebdon against Ryan Day, who's one of the form players. No one really wants to play him at the moment. And the other one I like is Jack Lisowski, Alan McManus. A real contrast in styles and ages there. Anyway, all of that's to come. Steve Mcguire is not somebody either. As mentioned, Ryan Day, no one particularly would like to draw him at the Crucible, because really he's like a qualifier. Sort of, he's a top 16 masquerading as a qualifier, in my opinion. You know what I mean, ability-wise.
Yes, and he proved last year that when he comes through qualifying, he's actually quite sharp and he's good to go, because he made the quarterfinals last year and he was brilliant in the qualifiers, wasn't he? It really kind of, I think he found that to be a little bit of a wake-up call, because he feels he'd been coasting a little bit with his game. A little bit of a slap in the face to have to make it through qualification, but he did so and made it to the quarterfinals. Twice a semi-finalist as well, so it's a pretty solid record for Stephen Mcguire, and he tends to perform quite well at the long frame formats as well. He's got a really good record at the UK Championship. Semi-finalist this year, or this season. But perhaps when you look at how talented Stephen is, and the fact that he won the UK title of, what was it, 10-1 against David Gray in 04, he perhaps, you think, would have won more than the 5 ranking titles that he's so far got, because he is a player of immense ability.
I wouldn't argue with that. Yeah, he's a leading player, and he should have done slightly better. And when he's fully focused and fully in practice, he's a world-class player. Anyway, he's got the problem of beating Hossein Vafai at this stage. It's a very cagey start between these two. So when frames develop, we'll dip into others. We'll stay here for now and get an early flavour of this match. Steve Mcguire, I don't think, has been particularly troubled in these games thus far. Beat Hamed Mir 10-4 in the previous round, and Alan Taylor 10-5. He was actually a couple of frames down in that match early, but he got through. Whereas Hossein Verfaye beat Jamie Cope. Good to see him back playing, although playing as an amateur, and he also beat. I'm just looking at his matches after that.
He played Noppon Sankam, didn't he? 10-5.
Right. Yes, he was 3-0 down in that match, and Noppon Sankam's actually one of the more improved players.
7.
You know, in that sort of round. So that was a good win. He played some good stuff there.
Big prize this for Hossein if he makes it. Would be debutant. First for Iran. He got close last year. He reached the third qualification round and then lost to Tom Ford 10-8.
8.
So he's been there or thereabouts. Big match though against someone of the experience and calibre of Stephen Mcguire. As you said, Neil, Stephen's probably one of the opponents you wouldn't want to face in this third qualification round. There are plenty of men with far less experience than him still in with a shout of making it through to Thursday's draw at 10 o'clock. Jason Ferguson will be doing the draw along with Joe Johnson, former world champion, Yorkshire's very own, the pride of Bradford.
Okay. 13.
Ryan Day's got a useful little early break. He's on 22 at the moment, leads by 30 against the Force, Peter Ebden. Stephen Mcguire just looking to get his eye in nice and early with a useful break here against
19.
Positive opponent. They both play quite aggressive snooker. Really looking forward to this one. Stephen Mcguire bidding for his 15th consecutive year at the Crucible after his debut in 2004.
20.
Big man Jan Verhaas overseeing this one. You'll be familiar with that 6'4" frame and those dulcet Dutch tones.
$26.
Member of the board now, Jan Verhaas. Tribute to his decades of service to the sport.
27.
Yes, this is a good start, and Mcguire has battled his way
34.
through the early part of this frame, and he's in with an opportunity now. I expect this to be a fine
34.
match. And anyone out there is thinking, well, Steve Mcguire's just going to win anyhow. Well, he may well do that, but if you've not seen Hossein Verfaye play, then he's a very good player. He's someone that could make it tough. Extremely capable. And a fierce
42.
match player.
$43.
What a miss.
Stephen Mcguire.
Highly
44.
unexpected miss with the frame not won. Well, there's nothing particularly difficult about it. He had his hand on the table, which I think is the first thing to say. Normally when you play near the side cushion can miss those. And he wasn't really doing a lot with the cue ball either. I'm surprised. Anyhow.
One.
So it's given an unexpected chance to Hossein Vafai. Oh, goodness. Kick, I think.
One.
That's what he's suggesting.
And surely, Neil, when he's playing an opponent of the calibre of Stephen Mcguire, he's not going to be able to waste too many of those chances, is he?
No, obviously not. And especially Mcguire's already missed an easy pink, and that was an easy black as well. So they're both showing early nerves here. Ryan Dazel off and running. He'll win the first against Peter Ebdon on a break of 60. Leads by 68 points on 3 reds and still going.
Jimmy Robertson is up against Michael White at the moment in the early stages. Daniel Wells has a useful lead, 43 ahead, but 67 on against Liam Highfield. Jamie Jones on a break of 40 against Liang Waynebow. And once again, Stephen Mcguire has let his Iranian opponents in. Now, Hossein Vafai wasn't able to capitalise on his last bonus visit. Plays it safe.
He's almost there, isn't he? Just, you may have seen a tweet there, gentleman in Bangladesh watching the snooker, and mentioning about it being on TV. I can tell you that Betfred World Championship runs, as we know, from 21st of April to the 7th of May. The tournament proper, that is. The entire tournament will be broadcast live on Facebook in nearly 40 countries throughout North and South America, as well as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, so that will suit that gentleman, Afghanistan and Sri Lanka. Fans in those territories will be able to watch the event free simply by connecting to World Snooker's Facebook page. And the live broadcast will include coverage on both tables from the famous Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. 32 players will be in action, as we know. At the moment, we don't know who the 32 players are. We know there's 16. We don't even know whether Stephen Mcguire is going to win this first frame. He's had chances to do so, and at the moment he needs another pot.
It's been a little bit nervy from Hossein Vafai so far.
One.
But it's understandable. Massive occasion for him, and massive occasion for Iran if he were to make it.
Yes, he started slowly, as I mentioned yesterday, in his match against Nopon Sankar. Anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll have a little look elsewhere. Mcguire, barring snookers, wins frame 1. 2 snookers to tie. So I think we're not going to say that he's won it, but we think he probably will. And we could have a look elsewhere, perhaps.
What about the youngest player still left in the competition, and younger than the 16 seed, Liu Hao Qian against Rory McLeod. He's on a break of 28. He's over on table 10. Jimmy Robertson, by the way, has taken the first frame against Michael White, so it's a very good start for him. Jack Lisowski is 1 up on Alan McManus.
Yeah, this is Liu Hao Qian. And they are in frame one, as we pointed out. And he's away here. Saw him walking in purposefully to the building earlier on. He had an amazing comeback, you know, against Martin O'Donnell, who's a very decent player. He was 6-1 down and 9-5 down yesterday and won that match 10-9. So you could argue that he's almost up for none by being here under those circumstances. And of course he's done pretty well. He reached a semi-final earlier in the season.
Yep, semi-final of Northern Ireland, quarter-finalist of the International Championship 6 years ago.
That was when he was 14 years of age and he lost to Neil Robertson.
That's right, he came through as a wild card. Actually, I was there for that International Championship. That was the week that Judd Trump became world #1. That was the inaugural International Championship.
Yes, it was the best of 11 frame tournament. He actually, to sort of tell you that while he did very well to get there, I think he was down to play O'Sullivan, who didn't make the journey. So he won a couple of matches, beat good players, and eventually lost in the quarterfinals. And you see what a good player Liu Shan is, because he actually went off the tour after that. I mean, he was on the tour age 16, dropped off, almost fell out of love with the game, I was told, and started doing other things, and he was urged by his family to get back playing snooker because it's what he does well, and that's great news, because here he is, based in Sheffield, playing in Sheffield, with a chance to make it to the Crucible, because he won't be the youngest by any means. We'll go to that, because my almanac will prove quite comprehensively that he's nowhere near the youngest. But a 20-year-old all the same, it would be quite an achievement.
Hendry's one of the youngest, isn't he? He had an appearance in his 17th year, and I think Luca Brecel may have been either 17 or very early into his 18th year when he appeared here. He's certainly never been this close to appearing at the Crucible, Liu Hao-Qian. I think you said this when we were teeing this match up earlier on today. Their scorelines, McLeod and Hao-Qian, have been identical in the first and second rounds. Both won 10-8 in the first round and 10-9 in the second. So they will have played, if this goes close, whoever makes it will have played an enormous amount of snooker. Very good break of 88 there for Liu Hao-Qian. He has taken the first frame. Why don't we have a little look in on table 6? Daniel Wells is up against Liam Highfield.
Yes, he's won the frame, that's for sure. So he's a good player. It's a battle of the left-handers. In fact, he's won that frame. So we'll probably go. We could have a look at angles, how he's getting on. Alan McManus and Lizowski, shall we?
Table 2.
Yes, just into the second frame. Lizowski won the opening frame. Just to let you know, the battle of the left-handers who never played at the Crucible, Wells and Highfield, 1-0 to Wells there. So it is the unmistakable Alan McManus, who finished, it was actually this morning, but only just after 12, when he got through against Oliver Lyons. Not a dissimilar sort of player to Lizowski. Both left-handed young talents. Lizowski's achieved more at the game. Just on that youngest stat, Luca Brecel, 17 years and 45 days when he played there. Yan Bingtao, the second youngest, 14 days older. Then Stephen Hendry, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Judd Trump, Liu Chang, all 17 when they played at the Crucible. Mighty Mouse Zhang Anda in 2010 when he was 18. He's got a chance to get there again this year. Chris Small, I wouldn't have had him down. 18 years and 209 days. And then the one and only Jimmy White. So they're all the youngest. So he'd be nowhere near the youngest, but still age 20 is young enough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an indication of his ability. Now, speaking of ability, well, in the commentary box and still on the table, Alan McManus. Do you know what? One of the most extraordinary achievements, I think, oh dear, in the career of Alan McManus.
6.
Shaking his head, he'll be really disappointed with himself for that. One of his biggest achievements, I think, was making the semi-finals 2 years ago I thought that was extraordinary. He made consecutive semis in 92 and 93. And then 2 years ago, he got to the one table setup again at the Crucible. That shows the class that he's got, doesn't it?
Very much so. Both players making mistakes early in this match there, as you can see. The only snag with that is Alan has been battling to keep his tour place this week. Because he looked like he actually was out of the 64. And the reason for that, Rob, is because those points that he got 2 years ago have now been taken off. 66,000 of them. That's how much he won. So he loses all those points, and that's why he was battling for tour survival, which he's now got over. Hit that nicely. So he missed that black earlier in the frame. Sort of seeing the early exchanges here.
Hasn't been a great season for Alan. Last 16, the China Championship. Last 32 4 times this year, including the German Masters and Shanghai. Bidding for his 21st appearance at the Crucible. Ebden, by the way, is bidding for his 25th. Now, there can't be many people who've appeared more than 25 times at the Crucible, apart from the usual suspects.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have a look now. And, I'll give you all the answers to that. 30 appearances is the most. Steve Davis.
Yep.
Who knew he would be up there? Probably the biggest certainty of all time. Followed by Stephen Hendry, 27.
Yep.
Jimmy White, 25. O'Sullivan, 25. And Ebden and Parrott, 24. And then we've got John Higgins, 23. And Angles himself on 20.
So actually, Ronnie would move on to 26 just by virtue of the fact he's already qualified.
Yes, yes.
So Ebden would be tied 4th most appearances with Jimmy White on 25.
Yes, of course he could. That's providing he gets there, yeah.
Ryan Day will be hoping that isn't the case. He's bidding for his 13th Crucible, 3 times a quarter-finalist.
Yes, actually, Stephen Hendry holds the record for the most successive appearances. All of those 27 appearances are on the bounce for Hendry, whereas Steve Davis played there 30 times. 22 of them were actually successive. That was his longest continuous run.
27 consecutive years. That's amazing.
-4.
Yes,
Mazowski's gone in off there.
Played there until he retired, didn't he? That was that.
That was a good way to bow out, I thought. Didn't he get a 147 that year as well?
He did. I'll tell you what, he got a roll of honour, right, from all the players. If you remember, what do they call it? The guard of honour, I should say. And I reckon those players did that deliberately. So I'll tell you what, we're going to give you a guard of honour. That's to make sure you really do retire. Because if we give you one of those, you can't really come back the next year, can you? That was my thoughts. It was tactical. They were honouring him, but saying, now you've retired, we're going to make sure you stay that way. What do you think?
Yeah, it could be an element of that. I thought it was good that he retired on his terms rather than continually for another, I don't know, decade, chasing it and chasing it and chasing it and getting more and more frustrated at where he was in terms of his game compared to the old days. I think if you choose to retire, you're going on your terms, and then you get a very dignified, gracious, warm send-off. And I think he'd made the quarterfinals that year as well. So he makes the quarterfinals, has a 147, and then says, "Do you know what? I'm done." I thought it was class.
Well, Alan is struggling at the moment. He just had I think he thought he got a kick on that black that he missed. It was easy. It's a worry that he's missed 2 blacks already. So he's not settled in yet, and he's furious. Absolutely furious about it. Now he's looking at the black. I think we all know he got a kick after this.
Ebden's on a break of 19 in the second frame. Ryan Day took the first. Same scenario for Michael White. He's on a useful early break against Jimmy Robertson. The South Coast man taking the first frame. White's break is 30.
Yes, I mean, Michael White, you know, he's won a ranking event. He's been a very good player. He's also winner of the shootout. fact, he's won 2 ranking events. Oh dear, that's
Foul.
stopped a possible stalemate knocking that black in. You know, he won the Paul Hunter Classic as well as the Indian Open. But Michael White has been struggling a bit, I think. He beat Nu Zhuang 10-9, and he was always behind in that match. And he had a win yesterday, but he's not been at his best. And he'd dearly love to be back at the Crucible. Now just better see how far this break of McManus's goes, I think. Now he's at the table, so if he can do something here, and then we'll nip off somewhere else. But let's just see how many he makes, because he's missed 2 easy chances. And there's so much to see. Of course, we could nip off now, actually, somewhere else if we think. Maybe we'll have had a look at Michael White, shall we?
Yeah, Michael White's now on a break of 37 against Jimmy Robertson. That's the match on table 5. As we watch Alan secure that black. So let's check in with Michael White on table 5.
Eight.
Yes, here we go. He, as I say, he's a very flamboyant player, Michael White. Very bustling player. And he's had some success this season. But he'd like to play at the Crucible again. Of course, he has had his success there as well.
I think he might be one of those guys who made the quarterfinals on his debut. Beat Mark Williams and Dechawet Poomjang. That might have been the year. I think that may have been the year when Poomjang beat Stephen Mcguire in the first round.
Well, it was
not a match that Stephen cares to recall with too much fondness.
He wasn't very happy about it, I don't think.
No.
I remember.
And then Michael lost to Ricky Walden in the quarterfinals. He's been back a couple of times since, but not won a match. And that you mentioned that Indian title that he won in 2015. I think, if I remember rightly, I think he may have won the Shootout and the Indian Open back-to-back weekends. That was some breakthrough for him. And then won the Paul Hunter Classic towards the start of this season.
Yeah, that was 2013 when Poomjang beat Mcguire. They were taken off one table, ended up on the other one. And I think Poomjang potted the winning ball, or potted the ball at the end with his eyes closed for some reason, because he seems to have gone missing from the tour.
It was an extraordinary match, wasn't it? You almost couldn't believe what you were seeing.
No, and it was Michael White beat Poomjang 13-3, and then lost to Ricky Walden in the quarterfinals. That was the year that Walden lost to Hawkins and O'Sullivan beat the Hawk in the final. So we've moved on from that, but look, he's a very good player, and quarterfinalist in the World Championships tells you that.
I suppose the good thing now, Neil, there are so many tournaments that if you go through a bad patch, in the old days when there were 5, or when I first appeared on the scene, 07, 08, you'd have a tournament and then 6 weeks with nothing. And, if you had a bad tournament, you were left for a long time to stew on it. Whereas now, there's another one the following week and another one the following week. So, you suddenly say, well, hang on a minute, I've still got chances to turn this on, and if it goes wrong, I've got another opportunity to make amends. It's not like I'm going to be left stewing on it for 6 weeks, and my chances to shine are less frequent, and therefore there are more pressures. There's more pressure on each opportunity because those opportunities are so rare.
Well, he's won this frame, and it's a question of how many he makes. And at the point when the break comes to an end here, there's a couple of places we could go. I can see the 2002 world champion Peter Ebden is playing okay, and he's on a break of 61. So we could, with this frame 1, nip over and watch Ebden for a moment on table 8 against Ryan Day. See if he does convert that break that he's on. This break is coming to an end, and either way, he's already won the frame. So that's Michael White chalking up his first frame 1-all.
Yeah, let's head over to Peter Ebden. Instantly recognisable. The ponytail's gone. You can still look that song up on YouTube, by the way. I'm Just a Clown.
Yeah, I know it's available, but I've never.
Is that in your collection?
No, I've never thought to do it. Look, he's playing all right again. Some of the snooker he played yesterday was pretty good. You know, and he's the kind of player, he creeps up on you, and you think, well, maybe he's gone at the game a little bit now by his high standards, and then all of a sudden he puts in a big performance. He did that twice when he won the China Open, when you thought, well, he started to ride him off, and he won a ranking event. The point being, he doesn't write himself off, and that's all that counts. He believes in himself.
I reckon he's one of those players that, in this kind of context, I'm not saying Ryan will be intimidated by him. He won't be. I've beaten him a number of times, but you'd rather have someone else, because he brings an enormous wealth of experience to the table.
You would rather have someone else. That's probably the best way of describing it. You know, there might be better players, more effective players in the draw, but Ebden will, you know, he is a ferocious competitor. He's not yet over the line yet. At the moment, 67 is the lead, and 67 is what's on. So another red needed. Is he playing a plant with a view to taking him back to the bulk end? I think he is. See if it goes in. Oh, it's a great shot. That's a terrific shot, and that wins him the frame.
Liam Highfield, by the way, break of 114 to level the match against Daniel Wells. That's a good clearance for Liam.
Well, Ebden now is playing a snooker, so we can assume on that he's going to win the frame. Angle has won his frame. We could have a look at Zhao Gudong. I notice he's going well. He's on a break, having lost the first. So we're looking at
Zhao Gudong is up against Adam Duffy. That's table 7.
Yes, early stage. In fact, he won the first frame, Gudong. And he's a player that's played at the Crucible as well. Adam Duffy, despite being from Sheffield, has never played at the Crucible.
It's a tough match, this, for Adam. Runner-up at Shanghai 5 years ago, Zhao Guodong. He's had really good form this season. Quarter-final at the Scottish, the German Masters, the World Open. Beat Ryan Day last year on his second Crucible appearance, and then lost to Mark Selby in the last 16. But 3 quarter-finals this season. It's been a solid campaign. He's ranked 25th. Adam Duffy at the table, and what a story it would be for Adam to make it the first man from Sheffield to appear at the Crucible. But he's going to have to play some good snooker to beat this fella from China.
He is, but I tell you, he's played well in both his matches, you know. He's beaten 2 seriously good players. He beat Mark Joyce, who's probably one of the best players never to have played at the Crucible, and he won't be playing there this year. 10-4 beat Mark Joyce. Good result. And then he had another very good result, Matt Selt, who I spoke briefly to Matt Selt, and he said he'd been outplayed in the first session. Adam Duffy won that 10-6. It wasn't an overly quick game. So that's 2 good results. But that was a tremendous long red from Zhao Gudong.
Superb. Actually, in terms of seasons, their fortunes, Duffy and Guodong, have been completely contrasting, because where Zhao Guodong has been extremely consistent, multiple quarter-finals, Adam, other than this run, he's had a poor season. He's had a huge number of first-round defeats. Made the second round at the European Masters, Shanghai at Northern Ireland, but that effectively means he's only won 3 matches this season.
Yes, and unfortunately for him, he hasn't got enough points to stay on the tour. You know, he'd have to get, I think it's the last 16 of the Worlds to have any hope, because that would be a big chunk of money and points. Great shot there from Gudong. Failing that, you know, even if he got to the Crucible and played brilliantly and lost 10-9, it wouldn't see him on the tour next year. He'd be off to Q School soon after. He's got the chance to put it right. So his good form is coming very late for him in his 2-year run. That's a nice shot. Really into the bunch beautifully.
1-1 with the potential debutants Daniel Wells, Liam Highfield. 1-1 Ryan Day, Peter Ebden. Rory McLeod at the table on a break, having conceded the first frame to Liu Hao Qian. McLeod on a break of 33.
Yes, most of the matches on as even, aren't they? With a lot of scores 1-1 at this point. Gudong looking to break that sequence. Obviously, Jamie Jones, you've mentioned it. A little surprisingly, has won the first two against Liang Waynebow, who was brilliant the other day. Jones lost a lot of frames yesterday from 9-1 up against Yuda Liu, eventually to fall over the line 10-7. So we're at the early point of these matches, and these, of course, conclude tomorrow.
Same start times tomorrow, 11 and 5. Sometime fairly soon after the end of each of the matches, we will have an interview with the qualifiers here in our little studio. We're only a stone's throw from the tables, actually. Day of real drama coming tomorrow.
Yes, and given the makeup of the draw, there are two guaranteed newcomers at the Crucible. Obviously, Adam Duffy could be one of them, but he's playing someone who's played there before, so we don't include that. But the two left-handers playing each other. I was saying about earlier on, Daniel Wells and Liam Highfield. Well, neither of those two have played at the Crucible, which makes it very interesting. And Chris Wakelin and his opponent Tian Pen Fei, although that is 8-1 Wakelin anyway. Wakelin yet to play at the Crucible himself, so there's an argument that you could just pencil his name through, I think. Could rub it out, like if he did get knocked out, but you could pencil him into the hat for the last 32, which of course the draw is on Thursday. Just because 8-1 is a pretty serious lead.
Yes, he's almost there, isn't he? Michael White's on a break of 59 against Jimmy Robertson. They're 1-1, so he's closing in on a one-frame advantage. And Rory McLeod's now on over 50 for his break.
Yes, the break's come to an end with a lead of 60. Hushan is playing on there.
Ryan Day's in the very early stages of the third frame.
Might be worth nipping over actually to table 5. Michael White, I think he's on reds and blacks over there. Not saying he's going to go and take it all the way, but there's a lot of snooker to be played in this match, so table 5 we could look at. Let's see how that table's shaping up. Well, even if he was on reds and blacks, he decided to stop there. I don't think he was actually, but either way, he's scoring very freely, so we'll see how far this break takes him. At the moment, it's not quite taking him over the line. Again, we're sport for choice here, aren't we, with matches? See a very fluent start for both players. Rattling through the frames. Not been playing 45 minutes, and we've just about got 3 frames. We know who's going to win them. I was given for the extended rest to referee Marcel Eckhart on this game.
Highfield's on a break of 20 against Daniel Wells in the third frame. Ryan Day on a break of 24 against Ebden. One all Lazowski McManus, early stages of the third there.
Oh, well, that break comes to an end, but I expect a concession, which there has. So it's Michael White 2-1 up over Jimmy Robertson.
Yeah, why don't we have a look at Ryan Day, Peter Ebden, which is table 8. Ryan's at the table.
Yeah, he was on 24, wasn't he? Not the easiest table, though, looking at that. The black's tied up, but there's plenty of reds out in open play. Ryan Day hit that spell. Well, he won in Romania, the Invitational, having already won the week before in Gibraltar. Neither tournament are the biggest on the calendar, and he'd already won his first ranking event earlier in the season.
But that was massive for him, wasn't it? Winning Riga. I think he beat Mcguire in the final because he finally got the chance to call himself a ranking event champion after missing out and finishing runner-up on what, 3, 4, 5 occasions?
Yeah, and the most recent of those would have been when he lost in the tournament in Preston, the World Grand Prix last year, when Barry Hawkins beat him.
When that happens, do you think it's a case of, is it just things gradually clicking, or would there actually and almost be a tangible sense of relief that the player thinks, right, if I never do it again, I've done it now, I've got the monkey off my back, I'll always be able to say I was a ranking event winner, or a bit of both?
Well, no, in certain players I'd say that, but I think in Ryan's case, he's got all the ability in the world. He looked at players over the years that have had won ranking events and said, well, I think I'm better than him. So maybe in his case, one might bring 2, 3 or 4. It's bought 2 already. Although there were bigger tournaments on the tour than the 2 that he won. I'm not taking anything away from him. Put it this way, if he got to the Crucible, he could have a good run there as well. He's that good.
Stephen Mcguire's taken the second frame against Hossein Vafai as well. Jamie Jones 2 up against Liang. Liu Heo Chan is still playing on in this frame against Rory McLeod. McLeod almost over the line, just broke down on a break, but now he will unequivocally take it to 1 frame apiece. The man who sensationally defeated Judd Trump in the first round last year. 10-8. Wasn't he 4 down?
Yeah, he lost the first 4 in that match. And he's always been a tough man to beat, actually.
I think Judd was so upset after that match, I'm fairly sure he didn't come and do his press conference, for which there would have been a small fine, but these guys are only human. They're not machines.
Well, that's true. However, players have been disappointed before and turned up for press. They should really be there, I suppose. But look, I understand the disappointment involved in that. There isn't a player who ever lost at the Crucible who wasn't disappointed. Anyway, he awaits his first round opponent in the draw, does Judd. And no one but in there would be dying to play him because he's a leading player.
Do you think most of the players find some way to watch the draw, or would there be some who try and almost remove themselves from the hype and just get on with practice and let a manager tell them, or do you think all of them without exception would be glued to it?
I think most of them will tell you they haven't looked at it. Some won't have done, and some secretly will. I think they'll all try and pretend that they just don't really care who they play, because that's what they'll say anyway. Some will definitely be looking in at the draw, and I'd say someone like Sean Murphy would be interested. He's a great follower of the game, and even Mark Selby, I think. And you wouldn't want Mcguire if he was to win this match. Of course, he's not won yet. You wouldn't particularly want the likes of Joe Perry, the way he's been playing. Graham Dott, who's behind in his match.
Waynebow either, although he too is behind in the early stages against Jamie Jones. Most of those guys who just missed out on the 16, you know, there are a few of them. Mcguire's 18th, Ryan Day 17th. He only missed out by, I think, about 11,000 to Mark Allen. Most of those guys, the seeds would be fairly keen to avoid. Jack Lisowski's on a break of 62 in the third frame against Alan McManus. Remember, McManus levelled it up at 1 apiece. Mcguire's in again against Vafai. He's on a break of 23. Very, very good start by Stephen Mcguire in that match. Although he did gift Hossein Vafai a couple of gilt-edged opportunities in the opening frame that we saw. So we had an 8-1 to Wakelin. A few 7-2s, including Milkins against Holt. Stevens against Ken Doherty. And Joe Perry against Mark Davis. And then some very tight matches at 5-4 this afternoon. Unnu against Burden. Mike Dunn against Graham Dott. Carrington against Liang and Walton against Higginson. And this action this afternoon and the early part of this evening, there could be some tight matches here as well.
A strange, very obscure text from or tweet from David Hendon. If you saw that, Rob, have you checked?
I'll have a look. I'll log in.
It says it took 10 years for a Scot to win a match at the Crucible before Murdo McLeod did in '87. I believe he was a baker, but also earned a crust from snooker. Goodness me. Come on, Dave. Do better than that. Disappointing.
Michael Annison says, bit of info for you. Dechawet Poomjang has entered for Q School in May. He's been ill. Hopefully he's getting better and bouncing back.
Well, it'd be good to see old Puma's back, wouldn't it? Anyway, this frame is Ryan Days. So we could have a little gander elsewhere now. Adam Duffy is trying to get back into that frame on table 7 against Xiao Gudong. So should we nip over there? We did have that frame in our grasp. What do you think, Rob, or anywhere else you'd like to go?
No, that's a good shout, actually.
13.
Jimmy. Yes, table 7. And while we're going there, I'll tell you that Jimmy Robertson is on a break of 39, trying to level things up against Michael White at 2 frames apiece at the mid-session. That was Peter Ebden against Ryan Day. So table 7, Adam Duffy, Xiao Guodong. Here we are.
Wow.
Oh, hang on.
There's a controversial moment.
Yeah.
He's been called as for playing a foul, and you've got to take the referee's judgment on that.
He said no. The front of his waistcoat was tucked in there, I believe.
We joined at a very good time. I don't know. Listen, we can't possibly say, and Colin Humphries is there to do a job, and he's given it as a foul. I don't think it's for us to argue with that. Obviously, Adam Duffy might feel differently, but a foul was the referee's decision there that he made a waistcoat foul. So we joined it at a very opportune moment, but not a very nice moment for Adam Duffy. Now what Xiao Gudong has got to do is take advantage of it. He's absolutely fuming.
He in his mind, I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but he's adamant. Usually, players are quite quick at coming forward, aren't they, in saying, yep, okay, but I think he felt he had a case and a point there.
Yeah, too difficult. Keep out of that one. It's referee's on the spot, isn't he? And to be honest, he would probably have had a better view of it than Adam himself. You know, I know that sometimes what happens when you're out there, you consciously make the effort not to touch the ball. Anyway, we move on, and that could cost him the frame.
Well, he's got to put it out of his mind, as he's been sitting in the chair shaking his head. He's still shaking his head, but he's got to move on from that because it's not going to change.
No, it's going to cost him the frame.
Needs to try and give himself an opportunity to get a foothold in the match. Guodong will be 2 up. Quick update on the scores. Ryan Day now leads 2 frames to 1 against Peter Ebden. Lazowski's also 2-1 up against Alan McManus. Vafai's on a break of 38. Mcguire initially was in the 3rd frame, having taken the first 2, but Vafai has a little bit of an opportunity. McLeod's levelled up against Liu Hao-Qian, and here Xiao Guodong has taken the 2nd as well as the 1st. Adam Duffy was in a commanding position, but a foul on the waistcoat has cost him the frame.
Well, look what he's going to do now. Now, this is just keep an eye on him here. Now, I don't know what point he's trying to prove here personally. He's actually, I think he needs to let this go this moment. He's actually, let's listen to hear what he's saying before we move on. Colin Humphries is a man of great integrity, and he saw it as a foul. Well, he's not happy about it. Now that's a show of petulance. He saw it, he's seeing it all live. So I think we did well to join that table. And unfortunately, this is what the game is about. Things like that can upset a player, and he's unlucky. I think he has to let it go now because it's not helping him. The referee's given it, and he can't get it out of his mind.
Is he better off in that position going to the toilet and splashing some water on his face and just physically removing himself from the environment to give himself half a chance to vent that anger so that he can play positive snooker in the next 2 frames before the mid-session?
Well, yeah, I don't know, each of their own. Anyway, I mean, obviously he made his feelings known there, and he tried to recreate the situation. So, look, he's lost the frame, unfortunately, and say Colin Humphries is one of the better referees on the tour. So we'll move on, I think, and hopefully he can as well. What table would you like to look at now, Rob? What do we think?
Right, let's just waiting for the scores to flip up. Rory McLeod 1-1 against Liu Hao-Qian. Ryan Day 2-1 up. Let's head over to Jamie Jones against Liang Waynebow. Now Liang has lost the first 2 frames here. He's at the table, although Jones is up in this frame. Could do with this one just to settle himself down, Liang Waynebow.
He really could. And, you know, this is the kind of frame that you've got to win to try and get your match started.
19th in the world, so he wasn't too far away from making it through automatically into Thursday's draw. But Jamie Jones has started really well in this match. Can't believe it's 10 years now since he made the quarters against Ronnie on his debut. Life travels at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yes, it's quite a crucial early part of the match, this one.
Jimmy Robertson and Michael White, 2 frames apiece. They're in their mid-session.
Well, that nearly went in. That went all round the middle pocket, that double. Played it as a shot to nothing.
Mcguire's in again on table 1. He's on a break of 29. Closing in on what would be a 3rd consecutive frame against Hossein Vafai. But Vafai's had his chances in that 3rd frame. Obviously unable to capitalise.
So the ball put back there. Just not able quite to drop onto the red.
McLeod on a break of 20. On table 10 up against Liu Haoqian.
Yeah, message from James Kilmartin said, great news about Pumas, that's Poomjang, attempting a comeback. We need more players who applaud their own safety shots. I like that.
Alan McManus is in the balls on table 2. Early signs of a decent break. Looking to level things up at 2-all at the mid-session. They're not hanging around tonight. What are we? 6:05, so an hour and, well, probably an hour and 2, hour and 3 minutes played. And already quite a few matches heading towards the mid-session interval.
Had a message from Peter Stevens, a tweet saying, do you think the standards increased this season compared to last season? Last year there were 84 centuries in the qualifying stage, and this year already 93 and counting. Well, I think so, yeah. I think standards obviously very high. We're going to go beyond 100, you would think, over the next day and a half. CJV Autographs Limited. I don't think that's his real name. I'm sure it adds to something else. I don't think Duffy touched the brown. He just looked at how close it was before the referee called it. Well, look, you might be right, but we have to say the referee is surely in the best place to make that call, not us. But that's your opinion, and it was obviously Duffy's opinion. And, yep, I'll take it on board. And E. Jones at Wildy has said, the Rob Walker and Folsey show is great viewing. They should have done a mini-series over the last week. Well, I think it would have been difficult for Rob to do that because he's been on the Gold Coast, slumming it over there.
McLeod now on 29 in his bid to take a 2-1 lead. Very tight in the 3rd frame between Waynebow and Jamie Jones. Jamie Jones is up, getting very close to requiring snookers for Liang Waynebow. This is a good start in that match. Waynebow would have fancied he was marginal favourite for that one against Jamie Jones, but the young Welshman is really going for it.
11.
Yeah, when you think all those frames he lost in a row yesterday against Udaloo from 9-1 up, the match went from 9-1 to 9-7, and it's not affected him by the looks of things.
Mcguire has taken that 3rd frame. So Vafai has one last chance to get one on the board before the mid-session. Ebden's on a break of 26 in the 4th against Ryan Day. Trails 2-1.
16.
Jamie Jones is now over the line, so he'll take a 3-frame advantage against Liang Waynebow. Really good start to that match for him.
So, 3-0. That's put the cat amongst the pigeons. Second favourite in this match, without a doubt. Jamie Jones against Liang Waynebow. So, what do you think, Rob? We could have a bit of McLeod or a bit of Ebden.
Yeah, let's have a look at the Highlander, shall we? On table 10 against Liu Hao Chan. It's been a slow break, this, from McLeod, but he's edging towards the third frame. Ebden's on a break of 34.
I just want to say that there's a lot of tweets going around about the Adam Duffy business, and it's very difficult, isn't it? It's very difficult. There's only two people out there that could have known. I think the referee would undoubtedly have had the best view. And of course, in his own mind, Adam Duffy thought he was doing everything to sort of arch his back to avoid that. So that'll frustrate him. So he has my sympathies, but in my opinion, I have to back the referee there, because he's got no reason not to call anything but what he sees. As frustrating as it is, but it is an awful thing when you're in to win a frame and you play a waistcoat foul. Your waistcoat just hangs down, and it must have brushed the red. Because Colin Humphries has been on the tour a long time. He knows the game inside out. It's unfortunate. So it's hard to speculate. People are fully allowed to do so, but it's hard to speculate as to whether he touched that brown or not. It's only frame 2, but the fact that he lost it and he's 2-0 down must hurt. In the meantime, McLeod is very sprightly around the table today, the dentist, isn't he? You call him the Highlander, but he's been called the dentist by some.
I think that's a brilliant nickname, but I'm just not sure Mike Ganley would allow me to use it.
I don't know if he's got any dentistry skills at all, but one thing, he's playing with a lot of fluency here.
Well, it's increased in speed because it took a long time for him to get up to the 30s, the early 40s where we joined it.
Why would Mike Ganley have anything to do with that? I mean, I'm not saying you'd introduce him as the dentist. It was, I think, Ricky Walden who gave him that nickname, wasn't it? After they played at the Crucible.
Yeah, it is a good nickname. No, Ganley is always paranoid about using nicknames that would potentially, or in any way, give the player concerned cause to take offence.
Yeah.
So that's why he would say you can't use the dentist, because it alludes to something that's not 100% positive about McLeod.
But do you mean here and now, or do you mean when you introduce the players? Do you mean here and now?
No, I'm talking about their official introductions at the Crucible.
You can't introduce them as the dentist. No,
that's what I'm saying. If I did that, Mike Ganley would go mad.
No, I think you're right.
And that's why you can't introduce players like Rod Lawler as Rod the Plod Lawler, because it's disrespectful.
Depends how he views it, I suppose.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's another frame. I'll say another frame. It's a frame. Liu Hushan has conceded. Obviously, McLeod 2, Hushan 1. Now, I wonder how Adam Duffy's feeling at the moment. We might nip over to table 7, shall we, and see that Gudong's in again.
Yeah, let's have a look at this.
Absolutely hopping mad at the moment.
He's got to let this go.
And Gudong is now... Look, it makes a huge difference in that, this could have been to go 2 and up, but instead it's 3-0 up. I think Duffy might have won the frame from there. Yeah, a bit of speculation, and say on Twitter, a few nicknames flying around for some of the players. Anyhow,
Stephen Mcguire's in again. He's really got his tail up, Mcguire, in the early stages of that match against Hossein Vafai. It looks as though he's on a half-decent break. He's on a break of 27, leads by 12, 83 on. It will be the perfect start for the aggressive playing Scot. Ryan Day's on a break of 27 now. Peter Ebden got 34 on the ball. There's 67 left in that one. Ryan looking to take a 3-1 lead into that little mid-session.
Zhao Guidong is not over the line yet. This is going to be a quite difficult shot. We need to stay with this for the moment because he is he's on the brink of winning the frame, but I don't think he can reach it. Might need the Swan. Our old friend the Swan neck might make an appearance. Surely he's not refusing the red, is he? Goodness me. Well, there must be something under the table that could give him the extra leverage there, the extra height. Anyway, break ends with a good safety shot. We might nip elsewhere. What do you think? We've got Angles trying to make a comeback in frame 4 on table 2. What do you think?
Why don't we have a look at Ryan Day on 8, looking to head into the
good call, I think.
Mid-session at 3-1.
Good call. Angles broke down there, so I think we'll probably get Angles in anyway because he's a bit slower than Ryan, isn't he?
He is. Here's how it stands at the moment in this frame. Very sharp, Ryan Day. Of course, he's got a new cue. He's had a new cue for the most part of the season. He's been through about half a dozen of them actually until this one, which seems to be absolutely fine. Is the one that he went for. I think Tep Chai bought him a cue at the Welsh, which he used. And he was beaten that day, but he stuck with it, and he loves it. Well, he must love it. He's won 2 tournaments with it. If he doesn't like it, then not much is going to make him happy. Battle of the potential debutants, by the way. Daniel Wells up against Liam Highfield on table 6. They're still in the 3rd frame. Slowest match so far, but it's massive amount of stake for both of them, so it's understandable. Their 3rd frame seems to be taking a very long time.
Yes, snooker's required though for Wells. Highfield is leading by 27 points. Now this is the key shot, I think, of the frame, the next one. Colour to the final red. He's a bit in between shots actually. It's on it into the middle or down the bottom. The middle's probably easier. The cue ball though sort of drifting up towards the top left pocket naturally by playing it this way. That was it. That was the important one, and it's missed it, and he's kept Ebden in the frame. Furious. Just the way he got onto the red, and it was neither one thing or the other where he'd finished, either on to the middle pocket or to the top right. Jack Lisowski on the green, 13 in front against Alan McManus, looking to clinch that frame. Our frame is in the balance though.
Liu Hao Qian's on a break of 25. McLeod has just gone 2-1 up. Hao Qian looking to level things before their mid-session. Won't be too long before Jimmy Robertson and Michael White come out to resume. They were the first to get to 4, and in fact Jimmy is back out, and he's gone red-black at the beginning of the 5th.
Yes, and Ryan has got the advantage now. The snooker got Peter Ebdon in, he escaped from, but not without sticking the red. So this is just what Ryan Day wanted. Red, yellow, yellow again would take him too many in front. Actually be 25 in front on the green, so I'm sure he'll follow it up with the green anyhow. Now McManus is making definitely got a chance to nip over with this frame as good as 1 here to table 2 briefly, where McManus is got a chance to clear the colour. So we can get to table 2 with this frame 1. I don't know if the frame will be over by then, but it looks like it's right at the business end.
Yeah, let's have a look. McManus.
Yes, this is good. Now, Ryan Day won that frame. Alan needs the remaining balls. I think we made a good choice there. He should be all right. I never know why players do that, you know, put the extension on the table. Matthew Stevens does it. I don't know why you won't put it under the table. Not that it's going to make a difference
18.
there. This is a frame Lazowski looked like winning.
$25. In the frame, Alan McManus.
Crucial little clearance of the colours. Alan McManus 2, Gat Lazowski 2.
6.33, please. Other players lounge, yeah?
6.33, the 2 players are back on that table. And Ryan did indeed go on and win that frame as we thought.
Now, why don't we check in, just because they seem to have been locked together. Daniel Wells refusing to concede the frame. Mcguire, so let's head down to table 6. Mcguire, by the way, 4 frames to 0 in front against Hossein Vafai.
Well, he has to carry on, doesn't he? I mean, he's only needing 1 snooker, Daniel Wells, and sometimes, you know, that ball you need to actually make the frame safe is the most difficult one, to the point where your opponent's going to concede. Wow, that's annoying. He's that close to just putting the frame away. It's been a long one, this frame.
Really long frame. Well, so long, in fact, that in the match between Jimmy Robertson and Michael White, they've had their interval and are already back out playing the 5th before these two have finished their 3rd.
This would be the biggest matches of these 2 players' career.
Yeah, by some margin.
You know, and we're very mindful of that.
The prize for both of them is huge, isn't it? Especially when you bear in mind what they've achieved so far. Liam Highfield's career best is the quarterfinals of India, which he's done this season. Last 16 in Northern Ireland and the Welsh. Daniel Wells' best performance has been twice making it to the last 16. Once at the World Open 2 years ago and the China Open last year. Neither of them have ever been this close to appearing at the Crucible, and one of them is going to get there. So it's an enormous opportunity for both of them, and there'll be immense pressure going on between the two.
Well, it should be frame over now. If Liam Highfield knocks in this green, then it will be frame over. Just see how he gets on. He's got to watch the cue ball here. That doesn't go anywhere that he could go in off or knock in a colour. So I think we can safely put this frame away for now and say that it's going to go, barring something extraordinary, to Liam Highfield. It's 2 snookers to tie. Let's see this last shot.
Xiao Guodong's wrapped up the 3rd, so Adam Duffy's been left. Good shot with plenty to ponder. Lazowski and McManus 2-all. Jimmy Robertson, Michael White 2-all, but they're now in the early stages of the 5th. Let's join Jamie Jones against Liang Waynebow, because Waynebow probably the favourite for that one. That's on table 3. Jamie Jones in the balls. Half a chance here, Neil, to take 4 without reply. And who would have predicted that against Liang Waynebow before the match?
Well, I think if you were a betting man, you'd have really been strong on the chances of Waynebow. And I know this is just for but not because Jamie Jones is not a good player, because he is. Waynebow's been in great form, as we know. He nearly made 2 147s in the same match, for goodness sake. That's never been done in snooker history. And also, as I keep saying, the match that Jamie Jones won yesterday, he had a bit of a nightmare day. He was 9-1 up, lost 6 in a row, including a frame where Udaloo needed a snooker. So he kind of fell over the line, so it didn't sort of set him up nicely for today. But he's come out today blazing. So, a lot of people watching this might have thought this is going to be Waynebow's match. Well, it might be, but he's very close to going 4-0 down in it. That can't be good.
42.
Liu Heo Chan has a 38-point lead in the 4th frame against McLeod. McLeod leading 2-1. Adam Duffy, you suspect, will be keen for that mid-session to come between himself and Xiao Guodong, just so he can get rid of the anger over that waistcoat foul that he feels has so far derailed his quest to become the first man from Sheffield to make the Crucible, but he's got to put that out of his mind. Ancient history now.
Yes, and the referee will only give what he sees. And in the right position as he was, he saw a foul. Well, there's an interesting tweet from Frank Norton. Ryan Day could go close. He had a great season. Unlucky not to be in the top 16. Watching in Galway in Ireland, loving it. Come on, Kenny.
56.
That's Ken Dougherty. And putting my Twitter in there as well. Send a tweet to myself or to Rob. We'll give you a shout out. We'll answer any questions you've got. A little bit of smattering of applause there, because that is another frame that's just about won. So this has really opened things up, because as I said earlier, Liang Waynebow is somebody you wouldn't want to play at the Crucible if you're a seed. At the moment, he might not be even playing there. So that's the frame done. The break ends there. Lovely 63 break. I'm sure Waynebow will concede and he'll have plenty to think about in the mid-session interval. He trails Jamie Jones 4-0.
And it looks as though Liu Heo Chan has indeed made it 2 apiece. McLeod requires snookers. So let's go over and have a look at the Jimmy Robertson-Michael White match, which is on table 5. 2 frames apiece. Michael White at the table. Very, very early stages. Ryan Day leading 3-1 at the little mid-session between himself and Peter Ebdon. Jamie Jones and Stephen Mcguire 4-0 up. Lisowski, McManus is 2 apiece. They're on their break. And in just a moment or two's time, Liu Heo Chan's break will come to an end. And he will go off knowing he's levelled things up with Rory McLeod. Jimmy Robertson has had an interesting few matches at the Crucible. I know a few big fans of snooker on the South Coast. He always has a good following when he makes it. First round against Selby in 2011. I think he lost 10-1. 2015 he played Marco Fu and lost 10-6. And last year lost to Mark Allen 10-8. So in each of his 3 first-round matches, he has become more and more composed. Well, Marcel Eckhart, the referee. Said, put it back. They're both laughing, so so I'm not sure how much of that exchange between Michael White and Marcel Eckhart you could hear, but a little bit of a miscue there from Jimmy Robertson. Little bit of noise around the arena. Quite a few people heading out, with their various tables taking a break as well. Cagey start to this frame. Zhao Guodong is in again, by the way, against Adam Duffy on table 7. The 4th frame. Guodong leads 3 frames to 0. Duffy desperate to become the first man from Sheffield to appear at the Crucible. But it hasn't been a good start by the local man.
I actually just popped out for a minute there and I saw Liang Waynebow rushing straight to the practice table. 4-0 down. He probably would do. Had a few hits just to try and find a bit of game of his rhythm, I suppose. Anyway, that's his problem, and his opponent, Jamie Jones, looking fairly chipper as well. I saw him.
Perfect start from Jamie Jones. Lost to Graham Dott at this very stage last year to miss out. Harsh place, or harsh point of the Crucible to come up short. So close to getting back to the venue, but denied at the last hurdle. Jimmy had his career best performance at the German Masters, making the quarterfinals. Last 16 of the World Open this season as well. Ranked 34th in the world at the moment. Zhao Guodong's now up to 28 on table 7 against Adam Duffy. Edging towards joining Mcguire and Jamie Jones with a 4-frame advantage. And Daniel Wells is now on a break of 17 early on in the 4th against Liam Highfield. Highfield leading 2-1 in the battle of the potential debutants on table 6. That's the slowest of the matches so far. Good performance from Robertson to make the quarters in Germany, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, he had some good wins. Of course, he beat Anthony Hamilton on the first day, didn't he, over there at the Tempodrome. Hamilton was defending his title. He played on the show table, and Jimmy Robertson turned him over and won his next match. And I remember him saying at the time, actually, I was surprised for him to say it, because it's basically the first match I've ever won on the television. He said, apart from the shootout, which he didn't really count, you know, because it is 10 minutes there. And I hadn't realised he hadn't won a match on the television before. And he played at the Crucible, he hasn't won there, so that's what he meant. He was on full coverage, so he's won a match on the television now. Now there's a tweet. Came to the EIS umpteen years ago to interview a young Jack Lisowski about his past and his future, and now he's back trying to win a place at the Crucible. As you're right in saying, he's currently 2-2 with Alan McManus. That's the English Institute of Sport, by the way, where we're playing at.
It was one of the matches we've been looking forward to tonight, wasn't it? Just because of the intrigue and the different stages of their careers and the different styles. Lisowski against McManus.
Yeah, and Lisowski, of course, he played at the Crucible in Junior Pot Black. Made a big impression. Then he became ill, missed a year. Seriously ill, actually. Mercifully, he made a full recovery, and here he is.
47.
Daniel Wells on a break of 48, by the way, trying to level things at 2 apiece with Liam Highfield. And Xiao Guodong is edging towards that 4th frame against Adam Duffy, who needs to use that mid-session if indeed he does go on to lose this 4th frame. He'll need to use that mid-session to offload a little bit of aggression after what happened with the foul on the waistcoat when it looked like he was going to level at 1 frame apiece.
Yeah, talking to Jimmy Robertson, had a message from Luke Terry saying he's over in Sussex. He's been watching all day. What do you think of the chance of Jimmy Robertson? And Jamie Jones, been relatively quiet all season, but seemed to be hitting form at the right time. Well, they've definitely got a chance. Jamie Jones, he's got a wonderful chance from 4-0 up. And this could go either way, this match. So I think, Luke, you're absolutely right. They're in there with a chance, the pair of these two.
Robertson 54.
Well, just playing in behind the black, and I wonder if that'll be a concession. Michael White thinking about it. He does come back to the table, but he's requires 3 snookers there. This was the shot that took him to this point. Michael White is carrying on. I don't know how much whether his heart's really in this or not. Looks for all the world 3-2 Jimmy Robertson. So I think we'll move on to a different table. Rob, what do you think?
$30.
13.
Vafai on a break of 30. Ryan Day's back with Peter Ebden
Same for Faye.
into their 5th. Adam Duffy's playing, but he's requiring multiple snookers against Yao Guo Dong, who is just about over the line, and he will be now. So it's 4 frames to 0. Duffy has got some problems in that match. Lazowski and McManus are back out after their break as well.
A couple of tweets there. Just something we mentioned earlier on, actually, that Alfie Burden, someone is asking me, that's Max, saying if he beats Tepchai, will he break the record for the longest someone has made between appearances at the Crucible? The answer is yes. We went through that. It'll be 20 years. That'll smash the record, which is currently 13 years. But he's still got to win, and he's losing 5-4. Just one other thing. Dalian Terry said he's curious to know the reason for the change of session times. 10 AM, 2 PM and 7 PM. Why has it changed? It was only 2 sessions today. So why would we not sort of have them a little bit more in the middle of the day, I guess, is the answer. I think it's the right decision.
Daniel Wells now on a break of 104. So much at stake that is going to be such a nervy match tomorrow, especially if it finishes close tonight. The 2 men bidding for their first appearance at the Crucible. Now another chance then for Hossein Vafai, still searching for his first frame in this match, and he's had his chances. It's been solid by Mcguire, but he has given the man from Iran 1 or 2 opportunities, and so far Hossein Vafai, the former semi-finalist in the China Open, has not been able to capitalise. He's got to find a way to settle into this match, or Mcguire's going to run away with it.
Yes, he's got a lot of belief in himself, Vafai, and I wouldn't be writing him off yet, and I know we're not doing that, but as you say, you've got to get a frame on the board. You've got to start somewhere, and he's good at mixing it when he does get in. But he's playing a class act here. He's playing Mcguire, who many people still view as a top 16 player anyway.
No.
And of course, the other thing to say about Steve Mcguire is he could be an outside bet if he did win this match to do well at the tournament proper, because it will sharpen him up, as we saw last year by playing in qualifiers. He's one of these guys who, he has to put the hours in, and he's almost doing it in match play at this at these qualifiers. So if you can overcome Vafai, then without keeping on saying it, he's not somebody you'd particularly want to play at the Crucible.
I thought he looked, there's another mistake there from Hossein Vafai. He's getting these opportunities and he's breaking down before they've really begun to get going.
Well, he's 46 in front, but that is a sitter. There's no getting away from it. It's a very easy pot missed.
I thought Mcguire looked really sharp after coming through 3 qualifying rounds last year.
Yeah, and of course he'd rather not have to do it, but it's one of those, when you do get through, it's in your favour, because the only downside will always be that you can get drawn against a seed rather than a qualifier. You can't play anything but a seeded player, so you have to qualify and you draw. End up playing the world champion Mark Selby or Ronnie O'Sullivan, to name but 2 of the top players.
Imagine what a first round match that would be. Selby Mcguire, if Stephen Mcguire is to win this match against Vafai, Saturday morning, first up.
And that's a tweet, as you can see, talking about the World Junior trio of Michael White, Jamie Jones and Daniel Wells doing well. There's White and Jamie Jones from Neath. And Wells have always had a very strong standard of play in the leagues and the juniors, and they still have. Jackson Page, who played in these qualifiers, he actually lost to Yan Bingtao. He is a player for the future. I really rate him. He's not ready yet, but his time will come. So the Welsh standard is still there, I think.
Mark Williams always speaks very highly of Jackson, doesn't he?
He's very talented, that boy. He's come on since he played him. I know you saw him at the Welsh last year, Rob, and he did okay. But he's a little bit of a different proposition now. He's a very good player.
He certainly captured the public's imagination. I think one of the things that people couldn't believe he was 15 because he had a full-grown beard. Apparently he used to have to take his bus pass everywhere, because if you're under 16 you travel on public transport for free, and all the bus drivers said, hang on a minute, you look about 25. But I know Mark Williams does give him plenty of time, Jackson. He's, as you said, he is a hot prospect. Fine clearance in continuing just the Welsh chat just for a moment. Taken Daniel Wells a little while to settle into life as a player. He was one of the Paul Hunter scholars way back. I remember introducing him to the crowd at Wembley when the Masters was still there, but he's had a fine century break to tie that match up 2-all with Liam Highfield. It's a really big opportunity for Wells and for Highfield, but yeah, Welsh snooker seems as though it's in a good place, and they're well represented in this last qualifying round.
He was on 13 reds and 13 blacks in that break, according to Mal Waddell.
Black ball.
I don't think he wanted to make a 147, but obviously we can't watch all the matches at once, but it would have been nice to see if he'd have how close he got, because there was already been one this week, and that was Liang Waynebow. Overcut that. Now he really has to start winning frames for Fai. I don't think he's got an easy opener here though.
Wembow's in on a break of 22 in the early stages of the fifth. Remember, he too, along with Vafai, is yet to win a frame.
A message from Sean Grant is asking, would Mike Dunn be the oldest qualifier to make the Crucible in the current format? Well, he's not even the oldest player in the qualifiers. Ken Doherty is, although he might not. He looks like he'll struggle. And then the next couple of oldest, you've got Ebden, you've got McLeod, and you've got McManus. I know that Mike Dunn is no spring chicken either. But, I mean, I don't know the answer to that. When Steve Davis qualified last, he would have been older than that, wouldn't he? He's 52, wasn't he, or something? I should know, but I have to look through my almanac. I think the answer is no. So, the black over the pocket always makes things a little bit tricky when it comes to getting a frame completed, because players invariably just play shots that see all the balls converging over the top of the black, the red that is.
Wembow's break has broken down. There's still some life left to go in that fifth frame on table 3. Ryan Day's on a break of 23. They've resumed. He's leading 3-1. Lazowski's 42 up midway through the fifth frame, but there's still plenty on there for McManus to turn it round if he can get in. And Rory McLeod and Liu Heo Chan are just coming back out to resume their match, 2 frames apiece. They shared all the frames before the mid-session. Interesting couple of hours coming up here at the English Institute of Sport. Fabulous indoor running track here.
8.
It's a hotbed of sporting talent here. Some great amateur boxers based upstairs. Rob McCracken does some good work with them in between working with some of the very best pros. Fine representation by the English boxers at the Commonwealth Games in Australia. All the home nations have great teams as
60.
far as the 4 separate teams are concerned before they form as Great Britain again for the Olympics, the Worlds and the Europeans.
70.
Well, Vafai has won a frame, and that'll make him feel better. So I think we can move off of this match now, and we can go elsewhere. Ryan Day is in at 3-1 against Peter Ebden. That's on table 8, so we could nip over to there perhaps
22.
and have a look at what is happening, because that's a big game.
23.
Playing a former world champion in qualifying, and Ryan is on the brink of picking another frame up. That was a good shot. He's opened the 2 reds. That's not such a good shot. However, his lead is 60 points. 4-1 lead is in the offing here. So with snookers required, I think, oh, what a brilliant shot that is. That's the frame. Okay.
That's one of the best shots we've seen today in the morning session or this mid-afternoon session.
Tell you what, things are looking very serious on table 3 with Liang Waynebow leading 44-0. And now that break's come to an end. Why don't we nip to table 3? Jamie Jones could steal another frame there. He's in 44-0 when he came to the table on 22 and counting. So table 3 we might visit. Let's see what the table looks like. Well, he was actually in, as is often the case. The break comes to an end, but at least he finished it with a snooker.
Waynebow's under quite a lot of pressure here now, isn't he, Neil?
Well, look, you never settle into a match until you've won a frame, and he hasn't managed that yet. Just mentioned Gareth, who goes under the name of Romford Slim. He's saying Steve Davis, who is the oldest qualifier under the current format, he was nearly 53, effectively 52, the year he qualified and got to the quarterfinals. That was the year he beat Higgins.
No, I thought that was, yeah, 2010. Liu Hao Chan's breaks now 26 in the 5th against McLeod, 2 all in frames.
Got a message also from Viv Rosser, who I remember playing against, Welshman, and he makes the point that Jamie Jones and Michael White, as I mentioned, are indeed from Neath, as is Daniel Wells, and they all went to the same school. So it's nice to think they're all doing well still.
Day, Xiao and Mcguire all looking class acts today. Each one more than capable of, I like that analogy, scattering a few seeds when they inevitably qualify for the Crucible Theatre.
Well, there's no argument that the seeds would have to be on their guard to beat any of those.
Same time as tomorrow, by the way. 11 AM start for the first set of 8 matches to come to a conclusion. And then we'll start at 5 o'clock and do it all over again tomorrow evening. And we'll hope to get every winner, every qualifier to join the top 16 in for a quick chat in between our live coverage of the matches as they edge towards helping us complete the lineup for this year's Crucible. And the draw will be live on all the usual World Snooker outlets and in the Betfred bookmaking outlets. 10 o'clock, Jason Ferguson, chairman of the WPBSA, along with Joe Johnson, the former world champion. 10 o'clock on the nose.
It's getting very serious here for Liang Waynebow, very serious. He could be on the brink of going 5-0 down.
24.
And someone's mentioned, and I thought this would come this tweet actually, saying that Fred Davis, when he qualified and he beat Jim Donnelly, or he beat Jim Donnelly to qualify for the Crucible in 1984, was 70 years old. The game's changed, but listen, that's true, that's a stat, isn't it? And, you know, extraordinary when you think about it. 70 years old. Pleased to get there, never mind still be playing snooker.
He's playing well, Jamie Jones. If someone had said to him before the match, he'll take the first 5, he'd have bitten their hand off. Not quite over the line yet, but the momentum seems to be with him at the moment.
Yes, the oldest player to win a match at the Crucible is Fred Davis himself, 65 years, 247 days in 1979. I think that was to qualify. 5 years on from that, remarkable. And his final appearance was in 84, aged 70 years, 253 days. Fred Davis, remarkable.
I mean, in the modern game, that will never be beaten.
And that beats the second, Eddie Charlton, by 8 years. He played in 92. I think it might have been the year I had to play him. It was a torrid experience playing Eddie. He used to sledge you, like the cricketers.
I suppose if you're 62 and you've made it to the Crucible, you've earned the right to be a bit cheeky and a bit grumpy.
Oh, goodness, yeah, lovely guy. But he used to give you the treatment. That was in 91 I played him. And, of course, the next year he lost to John Parrott 10-0 and never saw him at the Crucible again. He's passed away now, dear old Eddie. Anyway, this is the point where red colour takes him into a 5-0 lead. And that is a remarkable scoreline.
47.
Well, I know it's a overused expression, but it's damage limitation. Liang will be behind overnight, but can he make it? You know, 5-4 wouldn't be too bad. 6-3 probably take actually. Anything else? Big trouble. Big trouble. In this frame, he led 44-0, so he probably thought he was on his way. That's in as well, so this frame is done. Jamie Jones could not have had a better start.
Right, why don't we nip over to table 8. Ryan Day, Peter Ebdon. Day leads 4-1. Ebdon's at the table on a break of 33. Very positive start to this match from Ryan Day. 3 titles this season for Ryan, 2 of them ranking events. But you never write off the force. Multiple finalist,
34.
UK champion, world champion. Bidding to tie Jimmy White on the 4th highest number of Crucible appearances. He's on 24. If he makes it, it would be a quarter of a century, but he's got some margin to make up here on Ryan Day. Liu Hao Chan, by the way, now leads Rory McLeod 3-2. Daniel Wells and Liam Highfield are just back from their break, so they're about to start the 5th frame. And a really long 5th frame between Lazowski and McManus. McManus trails, but there's enough on the table for him to win. And Zhao Guodong has resumed against Adam Duffy, and it's he who's at the table first in the 5th frame. Duffy yet to register a frame on the board. So a couple of these matches are really beginning to look a little bit one-sided after the mid-session stage. Plenty of thought going into this one. Needs to dislodge one or two reds here. Ebden made his Crucible debut back in 1992. Made it to the quarterfinals.
Well, that was the year that he had the ponytail, and of course he beat Steve Davis, wasn't it? That very year. And I think he went on to beat Martin Clark, having beaten Steve Davis before the quarterfinals, as far as he went.
It's just so weird to think of him with a ponytail, especially when you look at him now. He just doesn't seem that type of person either.
Well, he just physically couldn't do it now as well. But I know what you're saying. He's lived a life, as Peter. You know, he's changed his direction a few times. Still a great player.
Certainly a character. By the way, the
57.
nightmare 4 frames for Adam Duffy pre-interval have resumed. Xiao Guodong is the first at the table and he's on a little break. 21.
Yeah, I think that it's possible that losing that second frame in the way that he did has really affected him, I think, Adam Duffy.
McManus is coming back in this fifth frame. Lazowski had a useful lead, but Allen's at the table and there's more than enough on for him to take this frame. Robertson and Michael White have taken one each since the mid-session interval, so 2-all has become 3-all. That one's being played at a fair pace.
Now this frame has gone the way of Peter Ebden. Alan McManus clearing up on table 2 against Jack Lazowski. If we can get there in time, we'll try and join it.
Alan McManus, 29.
Well, the break has come to an end, but it's crucial that we follow it because 51 points each. Lazowski playing right-handed. Didn't quite get to see the ball that he missed, but he missed a brown, and these are the crucial parts of the frame. Peter Ebden has won that frame, as we know. Question how many he makes. And here, Jack Lazowski requires
9.
The pink, just the pink. It's his frame ball. And he's missed it. Would you believe that? McManus is still in the frame, so we stay with this.
9.
See where it takes us. Not got an easy starter, but Alan will just be pleased to have anything to go at. Just have balls left on the table. Well, there's very few players who are more wily and more shrewd around the table than McManus. He has actually left a chance though here for Lazowski. Once again, that rattles in the jaws. These are the frames that hurt if you lose them. Applause on the 8 table because Peter Ebden has converted that chance that we saw in winning the frame off to a century. So that'll be 4-2. Good way to win a frame as well. Allen has got the dreaded double kiss. Not an easy shot still, but Lazowski with his third chance to steal the frame. Not easy again, but that's 3 opportunities missed now. I think the first was the easiest, the pink where he was just stretching over. What a horrible frame to lose if he did so. And I'm not prepared to take a risk. The situation here is, again, you've just got to get the object ball safe if you can. That'll help him. That will help him getting the black safe. I don't know if that was planned. I doubt it. It's Allen's task of putting pink and black more difficult. Just to let you know, Ebner's break was 122 in the end. We pointed out that he'd made 100. He missed it after pulling the brown over there. That's a great shot from McManus. That is a terrific shot. To bring the black into play is exactly what he's looking for. Well, there it is. His break was... break was 135. Well, given that Lazowski's missed 3 really good chances on this pink, he now really has to win the frame. It'd be a horrible one to lose.
Liu Hao-Chan is in again against Rory McLeod on table 10. He's showing all his experience in this match, Alan McManus, against Jack Lazowski, who was superb yesterday in beating David Grace. Yorkshireman has unfortunately lost his place now. He had a lot of points coming off after that massive run to the semis of the UK a couple of years ago, when he earned himself the nickname David Amazing Grace.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, David Grace. I reckon he'll get back on. He's a good player. I think he'll get back on Q-School. And do enjoy his company. I had a few laughs with him on Twitter as well, but I reckon he's good enough to come back. I like his game. And there won't be too many better players than him in Q-School, I would think. So we wish you well, David.
Yeah, you don't fluke a place in the semi-finals of the UK Championship.
He misses another chance. I actually heard somebody making the point. There it is, just with regards to tour survival. He gave it my best shot, says David Grace. Proud of his results. too many round one defeats because you don't get anything for those. And he's talking about the pressure, and he's not part of that, but he will be back. Someone was saying, you know, that it was unfair that his points came off. Not him, but someone was just talking generally. I noticed one of the players the other day. Unfair that his points came off. But how long can the points stay on? I mean, you get the points for 2 years. You can't keep them forever. So I don't agree with that part of it. He knows he didn't win as many matches as he could have done, and he's taken it in the right spirit, and I'm absolutely guarantee he'll be back. And there he is. Put away your tissues. Q School is already entered. 3 more chances to win his tour card back, and he will be back, I'm sure of that.
I like that. Hashtag tiny violin. Liu Hao Chan's breaks come to an end. He's on 56. Stephen Mcguire's edging towards a 5-1 win. Edging towards frame ball against Hossein Vafai in that 6th frame.
Well, it's a very important frame now, I think, just the way it's gone. Luzowski should have won it about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Got the easy up and down safety if he wants to put the pink down at the black end here. Okay. It's very well played.
Mcguire has indeed gone past the point of no return in that frame, so he will lead 5-1.
One thing you know about Alan, he'll play all the right shots. This is, I think, if he goes for this cut, which is a very difficult one, I think it's at least the 5th opportunity to win the frame on the pink. Probably the most difficult with the 5. And that's the one he gets. That's the kind of player he is. Eventually, Jack Luzowski wins the frame to go 3-2 up on over Alan McManus. Good shot this, as we see it again. Cut back against the net. Who's that on the other table? That's Mcguire looking across like Mr. Chad over there.
Luzowski will be pleased he got over the line. It took him a few chances in that one. Yep. So Mcguire 5-1, Ryan Day 4-2 up. Xiao Guo Dong against Adam Duffy.
That's another frame that's just about all over, isn't it? I think there was a match on the other tables there which looked to be still pretty lively. Might have been, I think it was Michael White. We could nip into table 5, should we?
Yeah, Michael White against Jimmy Robertson. 3-all. Michael White's at the table. That's table 5. Just at the beginning of putting a little break together. Xiao Guo Dong now 5-0 up against Adam Duffy. Liu Hao Chan has doubled his advantage from 3-2 to 4-2 against Rory McLeod.
Yes, and this match has been going at a fair pace, actually. The almost completed 7 frames already. Going, well, less than 2 hours of playing time. Because, of course, the 15-minute interval came in. Yeah, the Guerdon 5-0. That's getting very worrying for Adam Duffy. To be the first man from Sheffield to play at the Crucible Theatre. And without going into it, I'll say it for the last time. Frame 2, he was called as a waistcoat foul when he was putting a red to the left corner. At the point in the frame when he looked like winning, it has to be said, by Colin Humphreys. He was right on the spot, gave what he saw, and Adam Duffy wasn't totally enamoured with the decision, has to be said, but anyhow, that's what happened. Michael White didn't pot that cleanly, and as a consequence, he's not on the next red very well. Played that nicely, though. Maintaining the advantage. You'd like to have won the frame in that visit, but when you can't, the next best thing is to make a good safety shot.
Looking for his 4th Crucible, Jimmy. So too Michael White. Difference between them. Jimmy Robertson yet to win a match on the big stage. Michael White made the quarters on his debut 5 years ago.
Might be worth quickly nipping over to table 3 if Jamie Jones can chalk up another frame. Could be worth seeing because it's getting extremely serious there. Now is he at the point where, well, this is going to be 6-0. Goodness me. And again, Waynebow was in first. Didn't make many, but he got the first opportunity. And in the previous frame, he led 44-0, so 6-0. This is, well, it's not only a concern, it's a very eye-catchingly surprising scoreline, I feel.
Well, it means he'll lead by, at the very least, 3 frames.
You'd almost be disappointed to be, you know, overnight, if someone said you could be 6-3 up, you'd be thrilled with that, but right now you'd be disappointed to be 6-3 up, wouldn't you? That means he'd have to lose all the remaining frames. If he wins one more frame now, I know he wants to win them all, obviously, but if he won one more of the last 3, he's in an extremely strong position at 7-2. I mean, who knows, he could win the match virtually today if he wins them all, but you have to look at the worst scenario sometimes. It's almost the positive way of looking at it.
He'd be quite happy for the match to all be done and dusted in one session. That's how much of a roll he's on at the moment. It's been a superb start from him, and an uncharacteristically poor start from Liang Waynebow. Waynebow had only conceded 7 frames across the 2 matches so far. 10-2 Lawler, almost 2 1-4-7s. Zhao Jing Tong 10-5.
Which was a good result because he's a good player.
And Jamie Jones, as you commented a little bit earlier, surviving that fight back to 10-7 from 9-1 from Yu Delu. And he said at the end of that match he felt out of sorts and felt as though he crawled over the line, eventually just getting enough of an opportunity to finish the job. But maybe that sort of has given Jamie Jones extra focus today, because he realises in his mind he felt a little bit lucky to get out of that situation when it changed and started going against him very quickly.
The other thing to say, I guess he did win 9 of the first 10 frames of that match, so he started it probably similarly to how he started this one.
61.
This is a dream start, 6-0. What amazing stuff.
Let's see the end of this break, and then maybe nip over to the battle of the potential debutants on table 6, Daniel Wells, Liam Highfield. Daniel Wells put a decent early break on the board, and he's been trying to get over the line in that frame. Still enough on for Highfield to take it. So 79. 6-0 lead for Jamie Jones. Daniel Wells up against Liam Highfield on table 6. This is where we're heading next. And this probably explains why, having registered a decent early break, it's taken a little while for Daniel Jones to get over the line, with the reds all clustered down this end, brown and pink shielding full sight of those 5 reds. So much at stake for these two guys. It's arguably the biggest match in both of their careers by some margin.
Well, yes, it would be, and there's a long way to go in it by the looks of things. This could be one of that is quite long tomorrow, you get the feeling. Just to let you know, Michael White still hasn't picked up that 7th frame that we were with earlier. He's 47 in front on 3 reds with Jimmy Robertson, so he's not over the line there yet. And we saw Jack Lisowski actually, while I was looking at the screen, he started with 4 red blacks against McManus, and then he missed. Well, certainly the break ended. I don't know if he missed or not, but the break ended.
Peter Ebdon's in the balls again in the 7th frame against Ryan Day. (4-1) down at one stage there. 4-2 down, and on a break of 33. Of the story so far in this evening's match, Jamie Jones racing to a 6-frame advantage over Liang Waynebow. In fact, this one's looking a little bit tactical. There are probably a few exchanges still to go in this frame. So let's keep you posted on this one by way of score updates. Why don't we go and have a look at that break by Peter Ebdon on table 8 as he bids to move within 1 of Ryan Day, having trailed 4-1 in the early stages. So we'll come back to that match involving Daniel Wells and Liam Highfield. Ebdon now on a break of 39. In front by 28 points. This is what Ebdon does best. He claws his way back into matches, drags the opponent into a real scrap.
Well, yes, because it's a longer session than people think. It's one of those where 6 frames have gone, but someone like Peter will play right the way through the end, and his concentration probably won't be lost. Can't quite work out how he's going to get on the colour, because if he was to screw the cue ball back to where it is now from this red, he'd obviously be on the black, which would take him up the table, but I don't think he's got much of an angle on this. It's the problem. That's very well played. That really is, and put him in a strong position now. He'll be 42 in front. I was saying, I've been told how to pronounce it, Vafai, I think it is. Vafai, I've been saying, but it's apparently Vafai. But anyway, 65 on a break off, and he's 54 in front. So it looks like he's won another frame, which is good. And the other good thing is Adam Duffy might be on the brink of winning his first frame. No one likes to see someone struggling to get a frame. Ebden has played a pretty dreadful shot there, hasn't he? He's played on the pink to the bottom left, and he's on it in the left middle. There's Adam Duffy over on the table just beyond the one we're watching. Well, a good pot. I think the break has to end here. I mean, how can he ever pot another red from where the balls are? Pink's covering the two reds in the middle of the table. I think he'll try and screw the cue ball in behind the pink now. And a lead of 49 points, not quite enough, but still in a very strong position.
And we may well hear a little ripple of applause from Adam Duffy's local fans in the crowd as he edges towards leaving Zhao Guodong needing snookers and actually gets a frame on the board. But he's not quite there yet.
No, he isn't, and well, that would be a crushing blow if he lost the frame. I don't know quite where the balls are positioned.
Yeah, his break came to an end, and Zhao Guodong has an opportunity with just about enough still on the table for him to take that frame. You think Duffy's chances here are not edging away, but he needs to stop the rot and get this frame on the board, especially from such a commanding position. Taking his time here, Peter Ebden, showing all his experience.
Yes, I mean, obviously, these are the frames. It'd be nice if you could pull them out of the bag. The table's not looking very conducive to that happening. Now he's missed. Well, he hasn't left anything very easy. He's left a red on the pink spot. If that goes in, or near the pink spot, then I think we can safely say he'll be on a colour, and that will be a frame, another frame back for Ebden.
This is turning into a good little scrap between Ryan Day and Peter Ebdon. Ryan Day's had one of the best seasons of his career. Ebdon showing why. He's made 24 appearances at the Crucible and won the world and UK titles. He's digging in.
That's another frame on the board, so I think we can move on now.
I wonder whether it's worth just having a look at what's going on the Adam Duffy Zhao Guodong table, because if you're an Adam Duffy fan, this is not good news. He was right there, so we're heading over to table 7. Adam Duffy was right there on the verge of leaving Zhao Guodong requiring snookers. Missed. We couldn't see what was missed, but missed, and now there is just enough still on the table for Zhao Guodong to turn a 5-0 lead into a 6-0 lead, and this would be a crushing way to lose another frame for Duffy if the player from China gets over the line.
Yeah, and mercifully for him, he didn't make that last shot very well. The other person in that position is Waynebow, who got in first again in frame 7 and missed, or broke down in some way, and Jamie Jones on 34, so that's another. Both players they're all out to win a frame at the moment. Just to let you know, Peter Edmund went on to score in that frame, and he trails 4-3. So we'll just see if Duffy can get this frame that he needs, or a frame that he definitely needs.
Jamie Jones on a break of 42 against Waynebow, now 49.
Yes, and Lisowski looks to be heading to a 4-2 lead against McManus. There's a snooker's required stage. This has got to go in. Oh goodness, that was very wayward indeed. It was a terrible shot.
And he's gone in off.
Yeah, but worse still if he left the red on. Well, he's quite lucky to get away with that. That was a lunge.
There are definite signs of frustration creeping in for Adam Duffy. It's not over this match, but this is not a session he has enjoyed for a whole number of reasons. Came up short at exactly this stage 3 years ago against Jamie Jones and lost 10-8.
That is an outrageous fluke. That really is. Hit the jaw of the pocket and came back the other way. And at the moment, Adam Duffy is spitting feathers in there. You see him sitting down. I mean, obviously, the situation of where the balls are, it's pretty safe to say that 36 in it, he could do with a colour here. Snooker's no use to him. He's got to play the green. Whatever happens, he's got to go in, or else he'll need a snooker anyway.
He did have the good grace to put his hand up straight away. I mean, how could he not after a...
Well, actually, there was a little bit of a minor storm earlier in this championship. 2 players, I won't go into their names actually, I don't think it matters, where one player who lost complained that the other player, when he got a fluke, didn't acknowledge the fluke, said it was good manners, and the player who won and had the fluke and then apologised for it said, "I never do it," and that was it. It was heard in the arena.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, you don't have to do that. People always say, why do you apologise for fluke when you're not sorry? But I actually think etiquette is the reason you do it. No other reason. I think you just do it because your opponent kind of expects something from you. He knows you're probably going to clear up. Anyhow, this would really, really hurt Adam Duffy if this frame went. I don't think an apology will be enough for him.
This would do more damage potentially to his positive approach to the match than the incident with the waistcoat when it looked like he was going 1-all in the very early stages. 1 pot away from leaving Zhao Guodong needing snookers. It's not over yet, this frame. But that 3-bounce fluke to middle left might have left Adam Duffy absolutely steaming in his seat and facing a 6-frame deficit, as opposed to going 5-1 and getting his first frame on the board. Mcguire, by the way, is on a break of 49. 5-2 up against Hossein Vafai, who had started to come back from 4-0 down in that one.
Jamie Jones 7-0 up. Goodness me. On Waynebow, that's an amazing scoreline.
This is not a good day for Adam Duffy so far.
See that Liam Highfield, Daniel Wells frame still going on, and Highfield can win now because he's playing for snookers what seemed like an eternity ago. He seems to have got them. Anyway, this is where we're staying because this is crucial stuff. And the body language is not good from Duffy. Not an easy shot to get from pink to black though. He's played it okay, but he's not hard enough. So Duffy will come back to the table. Not sure what shot he'll have, but he'll come back to the table all the same. What an extraordinary shot that he played. Well, what a way to win a frame. That is one of the worst shots Xiao will ever play. There's a number of things he could have done there. But going off into the middle bag was absolutely horrendous. Terrible shot. And Duffy will be very relieved. I mean, he could have just pushed it up and down, anything but that.
So, Adam Duffy, through the side door, if you like, does get the frame on the board, and maybe that'll reverse some of the negative thoughts that had probably started creeping into his game. Let's go and have another look at the Daniel Wells Liam Highfield match. Table 6, still in the process of rounding off this marathon 5th frame. Now just the 4 colours remain. Daniel Wells was comfortably ahead in this frame. Ryan Day, remember, leads 4-3 over Peter Ebdon. At one stage it was 4-1, but there's been a little mini revival from the 2002 world champion. Michael White 4-3 up against Jimmy. Jack Lizowski leads 4-2 now over Alan McManus. Stephen Mcguire is in the 8th frame, 5-2 with a lead of 50 points. And these two edging towards the conclusion of their 5th frame. Understandably slow though, Neil,
oh, yeah.
when you think about how big the prize dangling for both of them is.
Well, absolutely right. But I mean, these two literally could be here. I mean, if there could be another 3-hour snooker in this match yet. And of course, all the other matches are nearly finished, and it's just one of those that could go on a long time. And they will play all their frames tonight, obviously. No reason why they pull them off the table, as sometimes happens. But yeah, this is the match that is probably going to leave all, keep everyone here late. Anyhow, we'll worry about all that later on. Tomorrow's a big day.
Jamie Jones is in again against Liang Waynebow. Waynebow has yet to win a frame.
Now what's happening here with this cue ball? It looks the object ball rather, and in the end he concedes the frame. Daniel Wells has won a marathon 5th frame, and he leads Liam Highfield 3-2, and there's still 4 frames to play in that match.
Right. Why don't we go and have a look at the Hossein Vafai Stephen Mcguire match, because Vafai has done well to come back into it 5-2. Mcguire had a decent break early on, but now there's an opportunity for Vafai to try and come back at that lead that Mcguire has built up.
Yes, good call. I think this is a good match to just be following here, because 5-2, as we know, without going into the frame permutations, which we all understand, but it could still finish very tight. That's the point. Or a runaway.
24.
And this frame will kind of give us more information on that.
Mcguire's been the one in control, but if Vafai can suddenly move to within 2, slightly different complexion.
Suggestion that McKelly Barker, who's a great snooker follower,
30.
has sent me a message a few minutes ago saying Alan McManus definitely not happy with the table that he's on. Jack isn't over the moon with
31.
it either, but Alan's showing his annoyance a bit more. I don't know what the story is there. I know all of them were recovered overnight, so they should be playing okay, really. But that's not to say they are, anyhow. Meanwhile, as you say, Jamie Jones is marching on there to what could be an 8-0 lead. Goodness me.
36. Hossein Vafai, 36.
Well, that really will hurt him, because that was his opportunity. Now, Mcguire still needs both reds, so he's not over the line by any stretch yet. But with the break coming to an end where it did, Mcguire can possibly win the frame here. Bit of work to do.
Hossein Vafai has failed to take advantage of a couple of chances that he's been given by Stephen Mcguire.
Yeah, he's moving up to a really high level of opponent here, and it's still a learning curve. He's not very old, Vafai. And
1.
he's still learning, but as I say, for now he doesn't want to think about that. He wants this frame somehow to go his way.
Liu Hao Chan, by the way, is now 5-2 up against Rory McLeod on table 10, although McLeod is in the balls, and Jimmy Robertson on table 5 trails Michael White 4-3, but he's put a useful break on the board. That's come to an end, but he leads by 43. So a decent start to the 8th frame for Jimmy Robertson. And Xiao Guodong is in again against Adam Duffy. So we did see Duffy get over the line in unusual circumstances at the end of the preceding frame for 5-1 as opposed to 6-0. But Xiao Guodong already has a break of 32 on the go
8.
in their next frame.
Nine.
Potted their more difficult red anyway, so this will be enough. And that's an important frame that he's about to win.
Mcguire looking like he was about to get pegged back to 5-3, but he's going to re-establish a 4-frame lead against Hossein Vafai, with only one more left in their session.
18. $21. 25.
I always think, Neil, when Mcguire's in the balls,
30.
I love watching him make a big break, and the same Mark Allen. I think there's a real fluidity when they're both in the groove.
Well, they don't let the cue ball travel very
36
far,
in
you
frame.
know. They are
Stephen
in good
Mcguire.
control of it, and he's gone 6-2 up now, Mcguire. So a very good lead of 6-3 or 7-2. That's where he's at on that. I'm just interested to see what's happening with. Well, there's a couple of games, isn't there? Roy McLeod is on reds and blacks here. Maybe should we nip over to table 10? We've not seen a great deal of that match.
Yeah, let's have a look at the Highlander stroke the dentist up against Liang Hao Chan. He's on what seems to be a useful break here, and he could do with narrowing this deficit a touch.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a lot of this. It's a tough shot that he's playing. He's knocked it in. He was on reds and blacks with a 147. But now that he's finished with that angle, that's not going to continue.
48.
I don't see how he can stay on the black here. All he needs is the frame. That's the most important part.
Jack Lazowski's on a break of 61 against Alan McManus.
Well, that's a good shot to play on the blue. That's very difficult to get onto the blue. He got the cue ball through a little gap there. It's a very fine shot. Got to rely on a couple of things. There's a clearance going on Michael White to pinch a frame against Jimmy Robertson, and we're still looking to see if Waynebow can win his first frame of the day. And we've been going a good while. Wow, what a miss. What a miss. Frame's nowhere near safe. It was a great shot to put himself there, and now he's giving it all back.
He can't believe that. He did so well to squeeze the cue ball to the right side of the blue. Teed up perfectly. Was that a case of thinking a shot too far ahead, or just a little lapse in concentration?
No, I don't know. I think he just missed it. He had to play into the bunch, but I tell you what, if it costs him the frame, so we should stick with this for the time being, because it looks like Michael White might be clearing up to win a frame against Jimmy Robertson that he was 43-0 down in. Looking at the couple of reds, I think, see if they have a plant. And if you could pinch this frame, again, it would be really hurtful. Jamie Jones is part of the crucial frame ball against Waynebow. That is going to be 8-0.
That's an absolute nightmare for Liang Waynebow.
16.
Well, it's carnage, isn't it? It's been a nightmare of a session.
Barring something spectacular tomorrow.
17.
That could be our first interview of the evening session.
He's a little bit of a streaky player, Jamie Jones. I mean, as you say, he got to the quarterfinals of the World Championship. He looked a world beater, and he's never quite lived up to that since, to be honest. But he's playing as well as that again now.
Beat Murphy and Higginson on that run to the quarters, and then only just lost to Carter, 13-11.
Made a lot of centuries that year, a lot of big total clearances. I think the new season seemed to start a little bit soon for him. You know, they were back playing in a tournament within a couple of weeks of that world title, and he started the season flat. He never quite got his form back. He's had some good results, of course. Looked like he was going to make a real breakthrough. Now this plant is going to possibly determine who wins this frame. Never in a lot of doubt. He got behind it nicely.
Michael White, 5-3 now. Been a good tight encounter, that one, with Jimmy Robertson. So they're into their last of the session, and so too Jamie Jones and Liang Waynebow, but with a rather different scoreline. Waynebow still yet to register a frame, with his opponent now within 2 of confirming another appearance at the Crucible.
Liu Hushan looks extremely disappointed with that last shot. Surely the red goes that he's looking at. He looked as if almost like a brokered man after that previous shot. Don't know what it is that upset him, but he's still in with a good chance here.
Jack Lisowski now 5-2 up on McManus. Daniel Wells and Liam Highfield, after that marathon frame that Daniel won for 3-2, have just re-emerged for the 6th.
Clive Stringer's enjoying himself. I don't know what Jamie Jones had for lunch, but Liang Waynebow 8-0. Very droll, Clive. I know you're a big snooker fan. Keep the puns to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say keep them coming.
Well, you could do, but I tell you what, I wouldn't like Waynebow to see it, would you? He'd be enraged. No, I'm kidding. It's very funny. Keep them coming, exactly. I don't think he'd see the funny side of that. I don't think McLeod will see the funny side of this frame either, because he was plumb in. Played a great shot to get on the blue. Missed the easiest, almost a Willie Thorne blue. The unmissable blue in the UK Championship. Look it up on YouTube against Steve Davis when he had him beaten in the UK final. Missed the simplest blue you'll see to get on the pink.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother mentioning that to Willie Thorne if I were you.
No. No, you're right. It happened though. Just passing on information. This is an excellent break. We're seeing why Liu Hushan is doing so well. He's a tremendous battler for a young player. A very old head on his shoulders.
Semi-finalist in Northern Ireland this season. Best he's done in a ranking event.
Well, I'll tell you what, if this black goes in, it's a natural. It'll be in behind the yellow, okay? That's excellent. This is really good, and he's punished McLeod, which is what you have to do at this game. He wants yellow, green and brown to take an even bigger lead. And like I say, this will really hurt. Very well done. This has been a first-class break, and I'm pretty pleased that we've seen it, actually, because this frame has told us a lot about this match, the way it's been played, and McLeod is playing well, but he's made one pretty glaring error, and it's cost him the frame, isn't it? Very sweet cure. Beautiful play from Liu Shan.
He's really in the groove here.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is 6-2. Quite a hiding.
Wow.
Fantastic. What a break.
91, lovely break for 6-2. And Rory McLeod is in a little bit of trouble. Now, just assessing where we are. Mcguire's in the early stages of the 9th. Why don't we go back to Adam Duffy and Xiao Guodong, because Adam Duffy got the first points on the board in this latest frame. Remember, he got over the line after appearing as though with one ball left to put himself in a commanding position against Xiao Guodong. It then looked as though Xiao was going to steal the frame back, went down to the black, and he was in off. So he's got one on the board.
It was a really poor shot, actually, from Guodong to go in off there, because he could have done anything. There was so many options he had. He took very much the wrong one. Anyway, if it's the only frame he loses all session, he'll be happy enough.
Oh dear. Now, he was on the wrong end of a fluke. No. Thought for a minute he was going to get one back. There's a wry smile on the face of Adam Duffy now. And he concedes the frame. He's not in a good headspace here.
No, and I don't think Liang Waynebow is. We could nip over there, couldn't we? And if we dare to table 3, what are your thoughts? Or would you like to see Lazowski? It's a difficult call, that, isn't it? What do you think, Rob? You choose.
Well, we're already there.
Oh, Jamie. Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll stick with this then, because this is the last frame they'll play. And a 9-0 lead, it would be quite something in this round. As we did say, we have had them. I know my good friend Alfie Burdon was beaten 10-0 by Ebden in this round. It happens.
But this would be, bearing in mind, yeah, the player that Waynebow has become in the last couple of seasons, this would be a bigger shock.
Someone's asked me a question. I absolutely, as we see probably the end of that break there, there's no way I can answer this, but I understand the sentiments. If Liang Shan did get through, would he be the lightest player, weight-wise, to play at the Crucible? I suspect he'd be up there with the, with the Graham Dotts in his prime. There's nothing of him, basically, is there?
No, the only other one I would think, and he's not as thin as he was then, although it was only a couple of years ago. Luca Braysel's quite a small character. Would he be what would he be, about 10 stone?
Yeah.
Probably a tiny bit more than that now.
I think Liang Shan might be lighter than that. I think he may be a very good jockey off a low weight somewhere, running on the flat. Anyway, look, he's not there yet, but he's very impressive, and he would be one of the lightest anyway. That's the thing we can safely say.
I wonder who the tallest is. Tallest.
To have played at the Crucible?
Yeah.
I think that it might be David Grace, who's just gone off the tour. You don't look at it, he's an absolute giant.
Yeah, he's huge, isn't he? About 6'6"?
John
6'5"?
Campbell played there. He was very tall, the Australian. So I don't know, one of those. So my decision to go to this table doesn't look a very good one at the moment.
No, and it could, it had editorial validity, because it looked like Jamie was going to move to within 1 of victory.
What about Jack Lazowski? Should we nip to table 2 where something is really happening?
Yeah, let's leave these two messing about with the reds in behind the pink and go to table 2. Jumping Jack, 43 ahead.
22.
I take full responsibility for that one that went wrong.
Ah, that could have happened to anyone. That's the break of 23 now for Jack Lazowski.
Jack Lazowski, Rob, is one of the guys that he makes the game look very easy, and we all know it isn't. He's one of those sort of players. You know, he just looks. He's got a real gift for the game.
28.
And anyone who's played it will tell you it's a very difficult game, but obviously the likes of O'Sullivan make it look easy. But he's another player. I'm not saying he's good. Of course I'm not. But he makes the game look ridiculously easy.
You know what Clive Everton's analogy is with Ronnie, don't you?
4.
He says, good players make the game look easy. O'Sullivan makes the game look preposterously easy.
Well, that's about right, isn't it?
Alan won't be panicking yet in this match, but
42.
he'd love to get one more on the board and get out of this session 6-3.
43.
I don't think he'd be panicking with that scoreline.
Someone is saying that Robin Hull may be the tallest. He was very tall. I don't think he was the tallest, though. And someone's saying Tony Knowles was tall. Well, yeah.
6.
Well, I think Grace was taller, and I think John Campbell was taller, but yeah.
Well, I'm
7.
6'3", and Robin Hull and David Grace are both definitely taller than me, because I've interviewed both of them, and I remember thinking, you're tall.
Yes, John Campbell, the Australian, as I say, he's definitely in the shake-up. So this frame is won.
Lazowski, 52.
The not extremely tall Jack Lazowski's won the frame. 6-2 he leads, and Manus really sitting there knows he's got to win this last frame, or else he'll be commentating on the championship rather than playing it.
Right, what about heading over for a last little instalment of Hossein Vafi and Stephen Mcguire? It's their last of the session, and there's a bit of life left in this frame. Mcguire ahead by 9, just beginning to put a break together. And he'd love to turn the screw a little bit here. And go in 7-2 ahead. Waynebow, by the way, is on a small break of 12 in the 9th frame, hoping to avoid a whitewash tonight and get at least 1 on the board. Liu Hao Chan is into his last frame against Rory McLeod. He already leads 6-2 and he's in the balls. What a good overnight score that would be, 7-2 if he gets there. We've had quite a few 7-2s from the afternoon match. 7-2 Joe Perry, Mark Davis.
21.
Matthew Stevens, Ken Doherty. Rob Milkins, Michael Holt. And the most one-sided match from the first group was Wakelin against Tian Peng Fei. Chris Wakelin, the would-be debutant, will be 8-1 up when they resume tomorrow. Waynebow's break is now 18, and as I say that, it falls to a stop. So Jamie Jones back in.
$27.
You just don't come back from 8-0 down, do you, in a match? And Waynebow's not coming back from that. You know, I'm absolutely not having that at all.
Stephen Mcguire, 27.
Jamie Jones would be absolutely delighted if they said to him now, can you do another 3 or 4? He'd say, yep, I've got him on the ropes, let's finish it now.
Yeah, I mean, some interesting scorelines there, you know, with Liu Hao Chan doing so well, 6-2 up on McLeod. We know how difficult he can be to play. A lot of people are saying that the one player in the draw that no one wants is Mcguire, and I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. I think he's the standout at the moment, even though the likes of Joe Perry is there. But I think this is the player you don't want. Ryan Day's the other one you don't want. There's no getting away from that because he's in brilliant form. He's winning.
Yeah, there's a couple of real potential bogeymen from these qualifiers, and Mcguire is right up towards the top of that list.
Played that well for Fai.
Good pot.
Trouble is the red and the black are the issue here. You can't very easily win the frame at this visit with those two balls where they are. Have to move something.
4.
Adam Duffy's on a break of 29. Hoping to claw another one back from 6-1 to 6-2. He's had a torrid afternoon and evening so far.
5.
Played that very well with Buffet because he's got a chance here to, if he can just get past the pink, he could conceivably knock this red into play. There was a little look at the scoreboard there.
Same for Faye. 5. Yeah, thank you.
Referee just thanking Steve Mcguire for letting him see where the balls were in case he has to replace them.
Foul.
And he will have to replace
You
them.
miss. Same for Faye. 4. Yep.
Jimmy Robertson will trail Michael White 5-4 overnight. He's got himself over the line in their 9th frame, so that one's beautifully poised for tomorrow.
And Highfield has certainly levelled at 3-3 against it with Daniel Wells. Snooker's required many of them, which I don't think Wells will even try and get.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jack Lisowski's on a break of 24. He's trying to finish the evening with a 7-2 lead over Alan McManus. 6-2 at the moment, but he's in the balls, going well.
Well, this is going to be tactical. I wonder if it's worth nipping over and watching the conclusion of the Jamie Jones session. He's in with a chance of whitewashing Liang Waynebow in the session. So that's over on table 3, and he hasn't done it yet, but it would be nice to see how delighted he is if he can. He's 20 in front, 2 reds left, and this would be to win the session 9-0. We're not trying to inflict any more misery on Waynebow, but it's just one of those things. It's worth seeing. Can he do it? He's not played a very good shot there. I think he tried to move the red, but everything's happening for him. And he leads by 21. It'll be 28, so he needs one more pot after this black, which will be the red, of course. And Simon Dunnan has said April is warming up nicely. The best days of the year are snooker's Judgement Day and, of course, the World Championship final. Top conversation and coverage from Rob and myself. Very kind of you to say that, Simon. Much appreciated. That was a brilliant shot, by the way. And this is a whitewash session. I could not have imagined that. Not against Waynebow. Not how well he played the other night when he could have made 2 147s in the space of 3 frames, but for missing the black at the end of the second one. So this is dreamland. This is working out hotels and everything. Of course, he doesn't know when he'll be playing, but he'll be here. He'll be here. He'll be at the Crucible again, and he won't do it until tomorrow. And as for Liang Waynebow, he's got that really annoying overnight wait to play what could well be 1 frame, and that wouldn't be anything much fun. It's a bit like when someone is 12-4 down going into the 3rd session. Rob comes out and says he's got a mountain to climb as he introduces him or something like that. Give him a big hand. It's one of those. It's no fun.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do, isn't it? This is going to be dreamland, like I say, for Jamie Jones. 9-0. Waynebow has had an absolute nightmare. It's been a horror session for him. There's the handshake. Jamie Jones is virtually through. And he's one of tomorrow's frames. And he'll be in the last 32 of the World Championship to 2018.
I was just looking up there for maybe an exchange or a wave or a fist pump for someone in the crowd, but he hasn't done that, which is very respectful, actually. But inside, he'll be jumping around all over the place.
Well, you try and make a case for someone, don't you, to come back, but that's not happening. We might nip over to a different table now.
Yeah, why don't we have a look at Adam Duffy against Xiao Guodong. Duffy, the local hero, table 7. He's had an evening that so far he'd probably care to forget. But trail 6-1. Xiao Guodong is at the table, but Adam was the first to get in, so he does have a lead. He has a lead of 42 points. But as you can see there, the reds are split quite nicely, so it looked as though Adam was going to go 6-2 with 1 left to play in this session, but Xiao Guodong will hope to come back. Oh, but he's missed it, so there's an opportunity here. Adam Duffy out of the chair before that red had even stopped rolling. If he could get 6-2 here and be in with a shout for the last of the session, I think he'd take that, but it hasn't been a fluid night for Adam Duffy.
Just Michael Anderson, who's a big snooker enthusiast, that's Q Action blog, is his Twitter address. He's saying that if Lisowski, who incidentally is 7-2 up on McManus, that's now confirmed at the close of play there. If he keeps up this form, Lisowski, he'll be absolutely at the top of the list of players the seeds would want to avoid. In my view, that's his view. And I think there's something big coming in the near future for him. Thoughts? Yep, I agree. Jack Lisowski's always been a talented player. He gives chances. But of course he would be a handful for anybody. I think that's absolutely right.
He'd love to give himself a chance here to get out of jail at 6-3 in this first session. Only a point in it between Vaffai and Mcguire. Oh, now 5 points. Mcguire's back at the table in their 9th frame. Trying just to put that extra little bit of pressure on Vaffai when they come back tomorrow. Mcguire would love to finish at 7-2. 6-3, but Mcguire's going well at the moment in that one. Certainly is, Andy. An absolutely phenomenal session from Jamie Jones.
Well, you just think somewhere along the lines there's going to be a frame or two that you don't win against a player as good as Waynebow. I don't know what price with the sponsors that would have been. I would have think hundreds to 1.
So some of these matches tonight coming to a conclusion. Michael White 5-4 with Jimmy Robertson. Jack Lisowski 7-2 up on Alan McManus. That's a tough That's a tough scoreline to recover from.
It is.
For Alan, the multiple semi-finalist, a man of immense experience. And then Jamie Jones, 9 frames without reply against Liang Waynebow, and none of us would have predicted that.
No. Still a bit of life left in this match. Just wonder. Well, he's quite close, so we should stay with this for now, I think. See if he can get over the line here. Ryan Day's in amongst them as well, looking to close out that session as well. Too much in that 9th frame for Fye and Mcguire, which we went to earlier. There's quite a lot happening at the end of this session.
Ryan Day's on a break of 34. Plenty still on the table though.
Dear, that's a very bad miss. Might be worth nipping over to table 8, I think, as this match continues, to see Ryan Day, see if he can close out that final frame of the session with Peter Ebdon. And he's on the brink of doing so. We're going to see the handshake, I think, here within the next 4 or 5 shots.
And that last image that we saw of Adam Duffy before we left table 7 to come here to table 8 was another one of those wry smiles. It's been that kind of night for the local man.
That wasn't a good shot from Ryan.
Leads by 43.
Martin Ingram asks, is there a common snooker parlance for a player being beating an opponent to nil? Like in tennis they call it a bagel. If someone wins straight sets to love. I don't know, but you can send me a tweet of what you think it should be called. I mean, a whitewash I think we call it.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, a whitewash.
Name for it, and we've not called it a bagel, but I tell you what, you may have a great answer for someone to be beaten like that. It's not going to happen here though, because now that's not gone in. Peter Ebdon could conceivably still come back and win the frame. But it's not called a bagel, so someone getting whitewashed at snooker, what do we call it? Just a whitewash, I guess. You could call it a drubbing, but that's kind of not really what we're talking about, is it?
And by the way, in tennis, if there's a two-set whitewash, they call that a double bagel.
Yeah.
6 love, 6 love, double bagel. Liam Highfield's in the 7th frame in what is without doubt the slowest match of the night. Leads by 35, break of 21 against Daniel Wells. They could have a very, very late evening indeed. Last frame of the night for these two. Last frame of the night for McLeod and Hao Chan. And same to Vafai and Mcguire.
Yes, and Vafai has pinched it, hasn't he, by the looks of things. Mcguire looked like he was going to win that frame. That just puts him in there with a squeak tomorrow. He's 14 in front on the pink, and I think he's about to pot that. So 6-3, he won't feel that he's out. He's almost come back a little bit into that match by doing so.
I agree. From 4-0 down, I reckon 6-3, he's got out of jail.
Yep, he'll be can't be happy with it, but he'll be slightly happier than he was at 4-0 for sure. He's won that mini session. If he does the same tomorrow, wins the first session 3-1, of course 4-0, then he'll be right in the mix.
We saw Adam Duffy shaking his head. Xiao Guodong is coming back at him. breaker 26.
I think we can safely say the most impressive performance, it has to be Jamie Jones. But I think the next best performance we're seeing is that of Liu Hushan, who is about to go 7-2 up against Roy McLeod, who invariably qualifies for this. He did last year, he has done in previous years as well. And that's Liu Hushan, who was 9-5 down yesterday. So, yeah, that is a very impressive performance this afternoon.
Really good from the youngster against the veteran that some are calling the dentist.
60.
It's a good nickname, that, because it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I wouldn't try using it live.
Well, you'd have to ask him about it first, wouldn't you? Great walk-on music when he plays the big venues, Roy McLeod. Bob Marley.
Yeah,
jamming.
that's right.
If that's not one of the best walk-on musics, then I don't know what is. Sounds fantastic. Not sure we're going to hear it though this year at the Crucible. 7-2 looks to be the most likely outcome of the afternoon.
McLeod already needing snookers. He's just deciding to battle on.
Just another thing, again, this frame still has mileage in it. We see this pot go in. I wonder if it's worth, after this, just seeing the conclusion of the Gudong frame there with Duffy. Let's just see this shot first of all. That's a miss. So that break will come to an end. Let's nip over to that table if we can.
Yep. Adam Duffy against Xiao Guodong, table 7.
Because that would be another hurtful clearance, and he's just about to make it here. This has been a nightmare afternoon for Adam Duffy. The frame he won was a gift. He didn't have to even pop frame ball because it went to the final black and Zhao Gudong played a shocking shot winning off. But 7-1 here with another frame to play.
Yeah.
He does need both the blue and the pink, but I don't think that's going to be a concern. He looks like he's got the perfect angle to get behind it.
I think we might well see Adam Duffy walking out for a quick comfort break at the end of this frame, just with one left to play. It's just, we all know that, you know, you either move away or you close the gap by 2, but you know there was still a glimmer there, wasn't there? If Adam Duffy had done that frame 6-2, he goes off for a break and he has half a chance of doing what Vafai has done against Mcguire and turning round a big deficit. And Vafai's just about got a toehold in that match at 6-3. But
well, he's never really recovered from frame 2, has he?
No.
What we saw where he was potting an important ball towards the end of the frame, and he was called for a waistcoat foul by Colin Humphreys, who was bang on the spot. So yeah, he's never really got over that.
Right, so one more left from 7-1 down. Rory McLeod is facing a 7-2 deficit with Liao Hao Chan. So let's have a little look.
Well, we're just following the Ebden scoreline, will we not? And
yeah, let's go back to that one on table 8. Ryan Day, Peter Ebden.
Yes, and that's 11 points in it, and we left it there. We didn't miss a great deal. It's another safety battle. People are saying that if you get beaten whitewashed, it should be called getting zipped.
Zipped?
10 zip, yeah. It's not the worst thing. I think that's Ants McGill sent that. Not sure if it's the Anthony McGill. I think it is. Anthony McGill calls it getting zipped, which is fair. I like it. I don't like the thought of it, but I like it.
Do you know what they say in my dad's Glaswegian? And Glaswegians have got some brilliant expressions for all sorts of things. For instance, what what we would call a vest that you wear under a shirt. They call a simmet. And sometimes an expression they would use, if someone gets thrashed, they say you were gubbed.
Yeah, gubbed.
So you could use that one.
The other one someone said, and look, I know why they've said it, is if you get beaten, whitewashed, it should be called a Charlton. You know why that is? Because it was the only whitewash ever at the Crucible. And Eddie Shelton was beaten 10-0 by John Parrott. It's a bit naughty, that poor old Eddie. However, the other one I like, and I won't tell you said it just now, was someone said to me at a tournament recently, I think he might get Marcus Campbelled here. Now, you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Well,
I like it though. Whatever it is, I like it.
He beat Stephen Hendry 9-0 in the UK, didn't he, once?
Yeah.
And do you know who it was who said he's going to get Marcus Campbelled? Hendry himself. He said, I think he's going to get Marcus here.
Oh, that's harsh.
He said it himself about, because he was beaten by Marcus 9-0. So he's basically saying it against himself.
Yeah.
So we could say that. He's getting Marcus Campbell. But really, it's Hendry who should get a mention in that, because he was the one that got zipped.
Marcus Campbell, I like that.
Yeah. James Windsor's saying that Alan Duffy doesn't look very happy. Well, I don't suppose he would. I agree with you, he doesn't.
Well, I think what he means is every time there's been a close-up shot, he's either been remonstrating with Colin Humphreys or shaking his head with an ironic laugh. But
he's had a bad afternoon.
He has, yeah. It's not been one he'll remember fondly. And also, he's been beaten at this stage before, when he's been that close to making history as a man from Sheffield. One win away in 2015 and lost 10-8.
Yeah, I see Peter looking across at a different table here.
Liam Highfield 4-3 up against Daniel Wells. They've come out for the start of their 8th.
James Gilmartin has said, I think James is drinking too much tea this afternoon or something. He's saying, Waynebow is such a maverick, he'll probably come out and make 10 maximums tomorrow and then lose the world final from 17-0 up. I think you've been watching too much news. I think you've gone mad, James. Sorry.
James might need some fresh air.
I think you do. Just a little bit of fresh air. Yeah.
Don't forget, if you're planning on being in the office tomorrow, get those headphones in. We'll be bringing you every result tomorrow, and hopefully an interview with every single one of the 16 winners will be in the draw on Thursday. Same time, 11 o'clock for the morning session, 5 o'clock for the evening session.
It was a terrific shot, by the way, from Ebden there.
Superb get out of jail there by Ryan Day. That was fantastic. Centimetre perfect. Daniel Wells on a break of 13 in the 8th. Been nip and tuck, that one.
Yeah, I think that could go all the way. That could be a real close game to get to the Crucible.
Last one of the night has started between Adam Duffy and Xiao Guodong. And Xiao Guodong is in the balls again. Wells has broken down on 13, so it's now Highfield at the table on 6.
Blimey, Marcus Campbell's been on. He's talking about players getting zipped, and of course we mentioned him as well. Maybe he's okay. I saw him at one of the events. I think it was up in Glasgow. Someone else says people are saying Roy McLeod is actually the 120th fastest on tour. There are 11 players slower than him. I think I know who some of those are. Certainly Lee Walker is slower. I think Rod Lawler is certainly slower. I've got a feeling that oh, great pot. Got a feeling that Martin O'Donnell might be on that slow list now. Along with, we saw certainly very slow play time, average shot times over 40 seconds from Anthony Hamilton in his early round. Anyway, I won't worry about that now. It's not been slow today. This is a great shot. It's never going to be easy wherever he finishes, but he couldn't really have played it a lot better than that.
8.
So 33 in it. This ready can, if he really wants to be bold here, he can drop this in dead weight, and it's frame ball to give the pocket every chance of receiving it. That's what he's done, and that's why it's gone in. That's very well played, and I expect Ryan to have won the frame here. He can just roll up behind the black if he wants to really give it the sand and cement treatment. Or he's going for the pink instead. As long as it doesn't go in off, he'll be happy enough, and it'll be a concession. So this will be a very decent afternoon's work to have won 6 of the 9 frames against a former world champion.
15.
Okay, he was favourite to do so, but you've still got to go out and do it. And Ryan Day is very much on course to be making it into the Thursday morning's draw. Well, it's shaping up. Ebden will play on, because that's what he does. But really, this is over. So I think with this match as good as over, we can assume the handshake is on us. Should we get to Xiao Guodong?
Yeah, why not?
Who's in again, actually, I have to say this. I have to say it because it's actually the case. We can see him there on the near table, and he's in. We're going to go over that now. Just potted a red down the kitchen, and this could be 8-1, and the handshake might be an interesting thing to see, actually. We might see if we can get that.
Well, just about every time we've seen Adam Duffy in his chair, he's been shaking his head and smiling ironically.
He has.
That 8th frame between Daniel Wells and Liam Highfield's got really tight again. Wells put 13 on the board and then broke down, and Highfield has responded and leads by 1. 14-13 to Highfield. Someone sent a tweet out saying that a few times I've been referring to Jimmy Robertson as Neil Robertson. So apologies if I have. These things do happen from time to time. After all, I am the man who introduced Steve Davis as Dennis Taylor live in 2010. Fortunately for me, Steve was 12-4 down to Neil Robertson and saw the funny side when he came out.
Well, the other one, of course, was Jimmy White was introduced as Jimmy Young at the Wembley Conference Centre by Norma Di Mosquito, who used to do the intros there.
How did he respond?
He didn't come out because it wasn't his name. But yeah, that happened. Do you remember? Did you know about that?
Someone had told me. I wasn't sure whether it was one
happened.
of these things that was exaggerated in the retelling. Hey, listen, anybody who broadcasts knows sometimes brain disengages, but mouth keeps going. These things happen. So Mcguire with an overnight lead of 6-3 over Hossein Vafai, who'll probably feel he's got out of jail a little bit there. Jumping Jack Lazowski continues his fine form after beating David Grace, 7-2 up against Alan McManus. Jamie Jones, one frame away from a whitewash against Liang Waynebow. 5-4, Michael White leads Jimmy Robertson.
Ooh. Oh, that's a miss that's come from nowhere.
Now, in this match, it looked for all the world as though it was going to be 8-1 to Xiao Guo Dong, and maybe Adam Duffy can see a little bit of light here.
I wonder if he'll play the red on the right, the red up the table. I think, really, if the red's over the pocket, it might not be. But the plant, to get the only safest red out, would be a great shot. But I can understand why he wouldn't want to play it. If the red was over the pocket, I think he would play it. Oh, goodness me. Oh, no. That's nightmarish. He's finished on nothing, except unless he wants to queue in a long blue. Well, I feel for Adam Duffy. He's played some really good snooker so far to get to this stage, and he's had two fine results. Mark Joyce and Matt Selt. They're two tough players to beat. Today, in frame 2, things went badly wrong for him. Whether he was unlucky or not, I don't know. We have to take the referee's judgment on that. Colin Humphreys, who I think is one of the best referees around, called him a waistcoat foul. And that man sitting in the chair took advantage, won the frame, and at the end of the frame he remonstrated with him. Anyhow, this frame could be one that he could steal. Give him just a glimmer, nothing more really.
Now he's been given a lifeline there from Xiao Guo Dong, who made an uncharacteristic error, having played a great session here at the English Institute of Sport. Must say it's a hive of activity here. A brilliant indoor running track, massive gym, kids all coming in after school. There's a real buzz around the place. A little bit further out of the centre of Sheffield than we were at Ponds Forge. That was just a walk round the corner from the Crucible.
Peter Edmonds actually still playing in that 9th frame, isn't he? 38 behind on the green. He's not lying down, but I expect the frame is gone. Now, can this frame be stolen here by Adam Duffy? Didn't have much angle to play with there to play that shot. Well, he deserves to be on the red, and he is. Just finally on that whitewash, someone said he's heard of the expression getting grannied if you lose to nil. I don't like that one.
No, you can't.
Grannied.
No, you can't use that.
Well, should we just not use that one again? I don't know what it means, but it's not sounding good, is it?
Yeah, there's too many other connotations for that expression. Well, there'll be a lot he hasn't enjoyed about this session this afternoon, but maybe if Adam Duffy could steal this frame when the opposites happen to him numerous times over this session, it will give him something positive to think about and focus on tonight before he comes back tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's still,
Yes.
it's still an absolutely massive task.
But it'll just make him feel a bit better. He's still got to do this. Gets through the ball very well, Adam Duffy. I like the way his cue action works. He just pushes through the ball. Anyway, here he's going to struggle to reach this one. This, as you can hear by the noises he's making, is not the most comfortable position on a snooker table he's ever been in.
Quite important, this shot. He doesn't like it though, does he?
There's a point on the snooker table where you're right in between where you can reach and you can't, and that is probably about a millimetre too far, where he just can't comfortably get to it, unfortunately. Very well done. Well, this is a frame. I mean, Gudong should never have missed that red. You can see that he's all out here.
39.
All out to win in this frame. Oh, he's finished it slightly in between. The green will obviously go up into the bottom left pocket. And if he gets it, you'd like to think he'll be perfectly on the brown.
Peter Ebdon, by the way, hasn't lain down in that last frame, despite the fact that he needs 4 snookers. He is playing on. Good work this from Adam Duffy. The merest glimmer of light towards the end of this torrid session for him. It's taken him a long time to recover from that second frame, hasn't it?
He's done all the hard work here, and he looks like he's got the angle of dropping behind the pink. And this would, as I say, be the least really that he could have hoped for, is to win a frame like this. By the way, Ryan Day has now won that frame. And he won't be carrying on his 40-odd behind on the pink.
Not even he would carry on from that margin.
No, he's not played that very well, Adam Duffy. A bit of tension in the arm, so the black is not a gimme.
Now, having talked about this being a glimmer of light, this is a big moment. Oh no!
You saw that coming. The shot on the pink, there was tension in his arm. Well, what an opportunity that was. He'd done all the hard work, and goodness, to miss the final black. Oh, what a pot. Now, that is an extraordinary afternoon. Adam Duffy must be very, very disappointed. How has he lost that frame? How has he lost a couple of the frames today? Gudong punched the air, and he knows that 8-1 has really put him as good as through to the last 32. So, Xiao Gudong 8, Adam Duffy 1. Doesn't really tell the story of that session of snooker, but that's how it finished. Just to recap, Steve Mcguire 6-3 over Hossein Vafai. Lizowski 7-2 up against McManus. Michael White 5, Jimmy Robertson 4. Jamie Jones 9-0 up over Liang Waynebow. We've just seen Xiao Gudong 8-1 up over Adam Duffy. Liu Hushan 7, Rory McLeod 2. Peter Ebden 3, Ryan Day 6 are the completed matches so far. I think we're going to head back to Rob Walker.
Long way to go in that one. Just to round up the other matches, just in case you got back from work and missed some of the action. Jamie Jones 9-0 up against Liang Waynebow. Waynebow certainly the favourite to win that one, but Jamie Jones is a class act and he's been on fire so far. Just one single frame. That could be the first interview we're doing tomorrow afternoon, unless something spectacular happens from Waynebow, who won the English Open a couple of seasons ago, remember. So Jamie Jones 9-0 up. Stephen Mcguire 6-3. I think Hossein Vafai aiming to become the first Iranian to make it through to the Crucible. He'll feel as though he got out of jail a little bit in that session. There's a glimmer of light for him. Jack Lizowski, jumping Jack, continuing the great form that saw him comprehensively beat David Grace. Alan McManus has got a lot to do in that one. He's been to so many semi-finals, 3 in fact. Michael White holds a 5-4 lead over Jimmy Robertson. That one's been nip and tuck all the way, so could continue in that same fashion. Xiao Guodong against Adam Duffy. So many people hoping that the world number 99, Adam Duffy, would become the first man from Sheffield to make it through to the Crucible. A cruel end to that last frame. It's been a session that Adam will want to forget in a hurry, and his opponent is now only 2 away from the winning line. 6-3, Ryan Day leads against Peter Ebden, but you never rule out the force. He can sometimes mount these legendary comebacks, and Liu Xiaoqian will resume 7-2 up against Ryan McLeod. Just double checking the scores. It's still 4-3 to Liam Highfield. He's on a break of 49, so he could well be going 5 frames to 3. That is how the 2 sets of matches look. We are coming back at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Carrington with a 1-frame advantage over Zhang Anda. There's only 1 frame in it between Mike Dunn and Graham Dott. Ricky Walden just having the edge in his match as well. So much to look forward to. We will be interviewing every single winner tomorrow. You won't miss a single thing. Keep the banter coming, keep the tweets coming, keep the texts coming. We'll read them out all throughout tomorrow. And remember, if you're at work, don't worry, just put the headphones in. Everyone will think you're concentrating on the figures. Join us again tomorrow here at the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield. We are very, very close to completing the lineup for the draw for the 2018 Betfred World Snooker Championship. Don't you dare miss it. Tomorrow is Judgment Day. We'll be there. See you then.
Celebrate the iconic Crucible Theatre, a glorious arena of champions. Remember the passion and dedication of the Titans of the Green Bays.
Taking the double? He is!
The whispered commentary.
Everything's starting to flow now. Making hay while the sun shines.
The late-night battles.
This is really unbelievable.
The tears and laughter of the game's greatest players.
The young man crying with joy.
I can't believe this. 5 minutes for one unbelievable maximum break.
The drama and the passion as the best in the world come head-to-head. For 17 days, they all battle for that iconic title. Betfred, proud sponsor of the World Snooker Championship.